You will, of course, hear it unfold live here on Sportsound on BBC Radio Scotland. The second of the Viaplay Cup semi-finals. More to come from Tom English later. But right now, it is commentary live on Sportsound on BBC Radio Scotland with Willie Miller, Neil McCann and Liam McLeod.
Will it be the 16th Old Firm Derby League Cup final, or will Aberdeen face Celtic in the showpiece for a 5th time? The Dons looking for a 3rd successive League Cup win over Rangers at Hampden Park. They've won the last 2, both at this stage of the tournament in 1995 and in 2018. Billy Dodds, the hero in the former, Lewis Ferguson, the hero in the latter. And of course this game just coming a few weeks after Rangers' dramatic victory at Pittodrie. 2-1 down they were. 5 minutes into second half stoppage time. Somehow they found the wherewithal to pick up all 3 points as Scott Arfield scored twice in injury time. Just about ready to go here. The 2 lineups, if you missed them earlier, for Rangers. 2 changes from last week at Tannadice. McGregor and Morelos in for McLaughlin and Cholak. So McGregor in goal, Tavernier, Goldson, Davis and Barisic. The former Aberdeen skipper Jack, who played his last game for Aberdeen here in the 2017 Scottish Cup final, alongside Lundstrom, Sakala, Tillman and Kent supporting Morelos. Aberdeen with Roos in goal, McCrory, Stewart, Scales and Coulson, Ramadani and Shinnie, Kennedy Clarkson, Duke Lopez and Bojan Majowski leading the line. It will be Aberdeen in the all red with white pinstripes down the shirts to kick off. They will go from right to left, shooting towards the west end of the stadium, towards Mount Florida. Rangers in the blue shirts and white shorts. Left to right, shooting east towards the Tory Glen end of Hampden, as that long ball from Aberdeen immediately goes out of play for a throw into Rangers down on this near side, to be taken by their captain Tavernier, who's scored more goals against Aberdeen than anyone else in his career, and not just at Rangers, as Shinnie wins it back for Aberdeen, knocking it forward, looking for Majowski, the covering players, Goldson, and he puts it out for a throw-in off Majowski to Rangers down on this near side. The smoke billowing across the stadium. It was the same last night in the early stages of that Celtic Kilmarnock game. We can see the players find through it though, as Stewart rolls it back to his goalkeeper, Kelleroos. And as always, and particularly in these big games in neutral territory, the start is so important for both sides.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I think in particular, you know, Aberdeen making a journey down here against one of the Old Firm. I think it's, and in particular the fact that this is a new Aberdeen side as well. You know, a lot of players out there have not tasted this atmosphere and playing at Hampden, so I think it's really important that they get a positive start. Don't give anything away, but you're right, I think for both sets of players it's important that they start really positively. I always think that's really important in any game, but more so in important games like this.
You might remember that 2018 final. Morelos was injured and Umar Sadiq started up front for Rangers. Quite the trajectory Sadiq's career's gone on since then, Neil McCann. It's Morelos today though for Rangers, who have a free kick just before the midway point of the Aberdeen half, right to centre.
Yeah, I think Morelos has got a big game ahead of him. We've hyped it up enough with Stuart's comments, but I think what I've noticed right away, Liam, is the surface is very, very treacherous out there, particularly for defenders. There was one just early in the match there where the ball got turned in behind Goldson and he didn't look comfortable underfoot, and that might just prove a bit of excitement for everybody in this ground today.
Tavernier and Barisic as always over the free kicks, and this is no exception. You'd think he would favour Barisic to swing it in with the left foot. Tavernier has his arm in the air though, he does take it right-footed, headed away by Duke on the 18-yard line, and it breaks back to Barisic, who leaves it for Jack just outside the centre circle. Along the deck out to Tavernier on this near side, and then Sakala's in loads of space. Right hand side, Clarkson read the danger, slides in and puts it out for the game's first corner, which is a Rangers corner down in this near side, 2.5 in.
Good challenge by Clarkson, he had to make it. Sakala had picked up a little position wide there, and they get really narrow, Willie, I thought, Aberdeen, and offered the wide position, but it's dangerous against someone of Sakala's pace certainly. But Clarkson, a real meaty challenge. He maybe hasn't experienced anything like this atmosphere in this fixture, but I mean, it must be great for the boys to play in out there.
Perhaps pumped up.
Yeah, he looks it.
Corner then for Rangers. Barisic over it right in front of the Aberdeen supporters, who are occupying this right hand side into the main stand. It's taken short back to Tavernier, bends the ball into the box, a header comes off the post, I think there. Roos is at full stretch. It was Sakala who nodded for goal, and Aberdeen survive. First chance goes Rangers Rangers' way in the 4th minute. The man who opened the scoring at Pittodrie last month. Here they come again. Morelos, Lundstrom across, low, and cleared by Anthony Stewart. Good start this by Rangers. The Scottish Cup holders in the mood. Kent wide left, it's Morelos again. Level with the Aberdeen 6-yard line. Low ball fired in, blocked by the former Rangers McCrory, and it's a long clearance by Ramadani, which comes all the way through to Alan McGregor. Really positive start by Michael Beale's team.
Really good header from Sakala. The concern for Aberdeen is why he's got so much space in the box there. They work it well out from the corner. It's a 3v2, which is another concern why Tavernier just wandered in, and for one of the best crossers in the country of the ball, he's got acres just to pick his spot, puts it in between the penalty spot and 6-yard box. The alarming thing is that Sakala's all alone. I know he's decent in the air, but he should not be getting a free header. He
was alone in the middle there. He was alone on the wing just before that as well. He's in terrific form, and that's a real warning for Aberdeen, Willie.
Well, it is, but it's one of their deficiencies. You know, we spoke about it long, we've spoken about it all season. Is the fact that at times they don't defend properly. They're very, very lucky. Listen, normally that ends up in the back of the net, you know, because it is a free header. He picks his spot. He's so unlucky to see it coming off the upright, and really Jim Goodwin down there can breathe a sigh of relief. But really that should be 1-0 to Rangers, and again deficiencies from the Aberdeen side all over the place. It's a simple cross into the box. There's got to be communication. There's got to be discussion in there. You've got to pick the blue jerseys up.
Do you know what? Sakala's not made clean contact with that either. I think it's come off his shoulder in the end.
Yeah, I mean, it was a brilliant chance. I was trying to see who was picking him up. Was it maybe Coulson that he run off? But that needs to be tidied up.
Here goes Kent jinking away from Ramadani towards the edge of the box, and it's a trundling effort low, which harmlessly goes past the right-hand post that Fashion Sakala struck just a moment or two ago, just into the 6th minute. No goals as yet. Rangers have only won one of their last 6 League Cup semi-finals, if you believe, since last winning the trophy in 2011. They lost in 2015 to Celtic again the following year, then in 17 to Motherwell, and 18 to Aberdeen, before finally getting the final by beating Hearts in 2019. They of course lost to that Martin Boyle hat-trick at this stage last season to Hibs. So their League Cup semi-final record has not been good of late, but they've made an excellent start to proceedings here at the National Stadium as Hayden Coulson picks up on the halfway line, and Tillman does well to knock it off him, and out for a Rangers throw-in, level with the edge of the centre circle in the Aberdeen half, main stand side, right in front of Jim Goodwin, who stands arms folded. He must be pretty concerned with these opening 6 minutes here. Still nothing each.
Just watch that again. Ramadani as well was there. I think Ramadani was the closest player to him, and Coulson had dropped off a little bit, but neither the two of them made any real attempt to close them down.
Here they come again, Rangers. Barisic swings it in, this time from the left-hand side. Stewart's diving header away. Tillman was lurking. Morelos was in behind him, and it's another Rangers throw-in over on the north stand side, this time level with the Aberdeen penalty spot. 6.5 in, 6.5 difficult minutes for Aberdeen here. It's a loose touch by Kent, but it's won back by Barisic, and then back the way it comes to Ryan Kent again. He's elected to go all the way back to his keeper.
I was just about to say that there's a very obvious pattern that Rangers are enjoying some amount of space out in the wide positions. I know Kennedy's operating wider in Duke, but at times they get really narrow, and it's causing for overlaps for Rangers fullbacks into those areas.
Rangers fans want a handball against Ross McCrory over on the far side. Play on though. Referee Nick Walsh today. It's Alan Muir on VAR duties. Ewan Anderson's the 4th official. He was upsetting the Aberdeen fans last week in that game against St Johnstone. That's a brilliant ball by Tillman. Tavernier, first time cross from the right hand side, half away by Scales. Sakala back across, plays it off Scales, and Rangers have another corner. Aberdeen cannot get out right now. They cannot get a touch of the ball whatsoever. 0-0, 7.5 in.
Beautiful little pass from Tillman, just slides real in between Duke and Coulson for Tavernier, who's in a very advanced position. To be honest, you're probably expecting better quality from Tavernier once he gets there, but again, that might be down to the surface. But I mean, they're under the pump, Aberdeen, already, and there's those wide positions. They've tried to flatten out almost and become a 4-4-2. Clarkson just slightly ahead of that middle four, but they're not getting the grips with the wide areas, and that is going to be a key battle.
Barisic with the corner, left-footed in, swinging into the 6-yard box, flicked away by Duke, breaks to Lundstrom, takes a touch, then slips it back to Sakala. Lundstrom has a swipe at it, blocked by Coulson. Coulson's pass goes straight to Tavernier. Here come Rangers again. Barisic picks it up wide on the right-hand side. He crosses in with the left. He time to take a touch. It's headed away by Stewart. Only as far as Goldson pumps it back into the box, headed away by Scales. Goldson heads it back towards the 18-yard line. Scales gets it away as it's picked up by Duke, who gets his first real feel of the ball, but Tavernier and Kent gang up on him, and it's now back with Ben Davies. Duke was excellent in the game against Rangers. He was hooked after Clarkson made it 2-1. I just wonder if Jim Goodwin at his time again, Willie Miller, if he wouldn't have perhaps made those 3 changes as he did at 2-1 up when Aberdeen were on top. And of course they reverted back into more of a shape that we saw against Celtic a few days prior to that.
Yeah, you know, he might be reflecting on that, thinking it was the wrong decision to make at the time, but you know, he was obviously under a lot of pressure. He's hoping just to get it over the line. I mean, none of us could see Rangers coming back from the position they were in, but they somehow managed to do that. And yeah, I mean, they get plaudits when they make the right substitute choices, and they've obviously got to expect a little bit of criticism when they don't.
There's Ryan Jack picking up in the centre circle, and he just knocks it back to Davis, who finds Goldson. Not too many survivors in the Aberdeen team from the one that beat Rangers in 2018 here. Graham Shinnie back at the club, of course, is one of them. As McCrory picks up, but his touch was heavy.
A poor pass, I thought. I mean, it put him under pressure anyway. Yeah, I don't think he did want it, although he came inside.
Tavernier with the chip, long ball forward. Sakala takes it down on this near side. He's been like a new man since Beale took over, and Tillman gives it back to him. Sakala into the penalty area, low ball looking for Tavernier, and he goes behind for the goal kick, and it will stay 0-0 after 10 minutes. Rangers started the game at Pittodrie very brightly, and of course the game at Ibrox, they were all over Aberdeen. Probably Rangers' best performance of the season was that one at Ibrox. 4-1 victory. Could have been 10-1, Willie. You were there.
Yeah, it was. You know, but I think Aberdeen, you know, made it. In fact, both of us were there, was it not? Yeah, both of us covered that game, myself and Neil. No, it wasn't. I beg your pardon, it wasn't.
It was Kenny Miller.
It was Kenny Miller. Kenny Miller. Sorry.
I'm much better looking at him, Willie. You know,
I know. I do apologise. But yeah, I mean, they were wide open, Aberdeen. It was wrong tactics completely. They played with 3 at the back, but the 3 central defenders, 2 of them were full-backs. There was huge spaces. That hasn't been the case today. It's a 4 at the back. They have been under pressure. They're looking for a little bit of respite. Aberdeen, are they going to get it? Duke on the ball. I think he's the man to give them it.
He's kept it in brilliantly as it was crossfield pass to him. He's dancing into the box. He's away from Tavernier. Gets the touch as he slips. Goes back to the 18-yard line. Clarkson header for Coulson on the left-hand side. And that goes out of play for a throw into Aberdeen, who are up the pitch, I think, for the first time in the match.
He's a problem for Rangers.
He is.
Duke, I mean, he threw in about 3 or 4 step-overs there. And if Rangers had to double up again to stop him, but a bit of respite, he said, Willie. But what I liked about the respite for the defenders was it still carried a threat. It wasn't just battered forward without any support. This little guy is a handful, Duke, and if they don't get a grip of him soon, then he will get Aberdeen into this match.
Long throw-in coming up from Hayden Coulson on this near side level with the penalty spot. No goals yet. All Rangers up to press, but Coulson gets the long throw into the box. There's a man down in the area. It scales, the whistle goes, but it's to Rangers' benefit, and they have a free kick. 11 and a half into the match. 0-0. Yeah, but Michael Beale will be pretty happy with what he's seen so far from his team, you would have to say.
Absolutely. I think Aberdeen need to get to grips in terms of possession. You know, whenever they get possession, they've got to try to hold on to it. They haven't had enough possession, really, have they? It's all been about Rangers, and Rangers dominating the ball.
Well, Willie, as you say that, the statistics I've got in front of me are 50-50.
I know.
Now, that has to be wrong.
It's nonsense. I'm sorry, it's nonsense. You know, and irrespective of that, we've got to give our listeners a true reflection of what's happening out there, and we can tell them that Rangers are very much on top.
There's Lundstrom's header, cushioned to Morelos on this near side, and sliding. Coulson wins it back for Aberdeen, looking to find Duke, but Lundstrom gets there and he knocks it off the Aberdeen man, and out for a Rangers throw-in on this near side. Rangers look in the mood. to set up a League Cup final next month against Celtic, as Morelos tries to give it back to Tavernier and puts it straight out of the pitch. It's just little things like that can offer encouragement to the opposition. It's a poor ball from Morelos.
And you've got to say Anthony Stewart so far has been spot on.
Well, what I would say is, I mean, it's just slack again from Morelos. It's a simple 2-yard pass. All he's got to do is find his man, get himself in the box, and I think he's just... Sometimes in games, Liam, he starts in a sluggish manner. We wondered whether he'd be fired up by Stewart.
Great challenge by Shinnie in the midfield, but his pass goes to Tillman. Shinnie still fighting for it and winning it back for Aberdeen's really good from Shinnie. That is exactly what they've missed all season, is that dig in the middle of the park.
Absolutely. He's got a bit of fire about him, Shinnie. He knows this fixture. He's not scared to get involved.
Scored in this fixture. Scored in Aberdeen's first win at Ibrox in almost 30 years.
It's a statement. It's a statement, isn't it? You know, from players when they go into challenges like that. And you know, probably more importantly, it lifts the Aberdeen fans, and I think that then, you know, overflows onto the players in the pitch, and maybe gives them a little bit more confidence too.
Michael Beale, of course, unbeaten thus far as Rangers manager. Just that draw against Celtic, which he'll feel should have been 3 points, as Duke comes rampaging down this left-hand side. Tillman fights back. Brilliant challenge there by the German-born American international on loan from Bayern Munich. He's been a bit better since Michael Beale took over as well. Just seems to be squeezing a little bit more out of the likes of Tillman and Sakala, the new Rangers boss.
Yeah, I think he's had an effect on maybe 5 or 6 players, Liam, positively. But I tell you, that was a really important challenge he made there. He worked back into that area. Had he not made that challenge, he was bearing down 1-for-1 with Connor Goldson and Majorski hitting the box and Clarkson. What I like about Aberdeen in the last couple of minutes is that they've actually said to their fullbacks, deal with the wingers, because Duke was coming too deep, as was Kennedy.
Here comes Tavernier though, gets it back from Tillman. Tavernier stabbing it out to his right for Sakala, blocked by Duke, picked up by Shinnie, who flicks it into Ramadani, who finds Duke Lopez, who's up towards halfway here. Duke looking ahead. Bojan Miovski was in an offside position. He's found Kennedy, but he can't control. And Barisic is there for Rangers, taking it out to that left-hand side. And he goes long, looking for Morelos. He does win the header, doesn't know where the ball is, does now, and Shinnie steers it away from him. In the centre circle, forward to Clarkson, slips it through towards Miovski. Is he onside? He's inside the penalty area. He's on his own at the moment. He's going to have to do it himself, and he finds the net.
I think he's just off, Liam. Yeah,
flags up.
What a finish, though.
That's the rule. That's the rule. And Miovski lashed it home into the roof of the net. He's been off the score sheet quite a bit recently, but that's a brilliant finish, but it's not going to count for anything.
What a goal. It's good movement and a great pass, you know, but my initial feeling is just off.
He is.
Yeah, and he is. I mean, but nonetheless, that'll give him a bit of confidence if he's not been hit the back of the net, because it's such an acute angle. He's absolutely fired it high and handsome past Alan McGregor. Lovely bit of play, and I was just touching on about the wingers being a bit higher, Willie, in better positions, but that has an effect on Shinnie and Ramadani through the centre of the pitch. When they pick it up there, they've got options all of a sudden to go and hurt Rangers.
They're just checking it here, incidentally. There's a little stoppage, but we've seen a replay. And
why does it take so long?
Well, looking at the lines in the pitch, it looked like his shoulder was offside, and there you go. We knew this 2 minutes ago, just about.
Yeah, you know, and that is important, you know, in terms of making sure that the full-backs take that responsibility. And why shouldn't they? Exactly. You know, I mean, you really only get one striker up there, so you know, you've got 2 central defenders to take care of Morelos, so you've got to make sure that the full-backs take care of the wide players.
It's 0-0 then. Miovski, for the briefest of moments, thought he'd put Aberdeen in front. They've weathered the storm. Rangers were coming at them in the opening 10 minutes of the game. Just Aberdeen have settled since then, as Hayden Coulson takes it into the centre of the pitch, rolls it back to Stewart under pressure from his best pal Morelos, who then clatters him late there, and the free kick's going to be given against Morelos.
He's read the papers. I think that challenge was all about that, because that was slightly late. I don't think it was over aggressive in terms of nasty one, but he's just letting Stewart know that he's there.
That's okay.
All right with that, Willie?
That's okay. Yeah. I don't mind that. I don't mind that. You know, because what it tells you is that you know, Stewart has now made him he made himself someone important in Morelos' mind at the very least, because you want to leave a mark on him by his statement. I don't mind that at all.
I'm sure you had a few of those with McCoist and Johnston and the rest of them back in the...
He'll be having one of them at half-time when the pies arrive, never mind. But he's playing days.
Tavernier chesting it down to Tillman, but Shinnie's robbed him, and Shinnie's driving towards the Rangers penalty area. He's into it now. Left-hand side of it, he chips it across, headed behind for Aberdeen's first corner by Connor Goldson. Without a question, the men in red have turned up now. 18th minute, 0-0, but the last 5 or so minutes, Aberdeen have bedded themselves in.
Yeah, but Tillman, it's so lazy, isn't it? With him, he must know that he's going to be put under pressure there. And Shinnie's that type of player, but it's a lazy approach there. In fact, when you watch him, he probably is that type of player. He kind of ambles about the park, but that's an important situation. I saw Golson giving him the high fives as well. I know what I would be telling him.
Aberdeen corner to be taken by Kennedy. No short option here, so this is coming into the Rangers box, and it comes, it's headed down by Duke, who's in there, and it's scooped away. It was Stewart who attacked it initially. What a chance for the Aberdeen skipper, who was making the headlines for the wrong reasons in the build-up to this one. Stewart and then Duke both the chances, but Stewart doesn't make clean contact.
Oh, it's a sitter.
It's come off his hand.
Comes off his hand, yeah, but he's watching it all the way, and maybe just thinks the defender, I think it's Connor Goldson, is going to get the head on it, but I still think he has a swipe at it and totally misses. Willie, I mean, that's a 100% chance for me.
I think it was Duke that had the swipe. It was
yeah, but Stewart has a go at it. What I'm saying,
had the header, and I just didn't think he saw it cleanly enough coming in for the wide area. That's in support of him. It was a big chance, and if he's alert to it and he gets a proper header on it, then it's a goal.
Presumably, if Duke scores in the follow-up there, it gets ruled out for the handball by Stewart anyway, doesn't it?
Yes, but I think this match has suddenly burst into life. We did think it could be one of those types of games where it's got a bit of fire in it, a bit of energy. Rangers did start well, but as you rightly said, Liam, when Aberdeen have got themselves into better positions, I think structurally better out of possession, they've brought themselves right into this match to be a threat to Rangers, and suddenly it's a right open game of football.
They've only won 8 games away from Pittodrie out of the last 37. Aberdeen, 4 of those 8 came against lower league opposition. A couple of them came against St Johnstone. They don't seem to have a problem at McDermott Park. Everywhere else they do. As Tavernier takes a throw in midway inside Don's territory, he finds Sakala, who rolls it back to Lundstrom, and then out to Tavernier and down the line for Tillman, taking on Coulson. Cross covering is Graham Shinnie. His clearance is deflected into the path of Tillman, who flicks it to Sakala, drops the shoulder on the left foot, just over the bar. Roos hasn't touched it. It's a goal kick to Aberdeen. Fashion Sakala's a rueful look in his face. 20.5 minutes in, Rangers 0, Aberdeen 0.
That's what Tillman's got, imagination on passes. He sees little things, the little outside of the boot flick into Sakala, he chops it inside, and we're so used to the little man smashing things. He's not the most composed of finishers, but it probably merited putting the laces through that one. It's just rising all the time over the crossbar, but a really good effort and really good imagination from Tillman.
They've never lost, Rangers, when Fashion Sakala scored for them. Miovski's offside again. Things haven't been happening for him recently, Willie. The Aberdeen number 9.
No, but I think he showed what he was capable of by rifling that one into the back of the net, even although he was offside. He was a lone figure up there too. Didn't have too much option. In fact, didn't have any option but to have a go himself, but he certainly finished well enough. And I must say, Anthony Stewart's pass on that occasion was quite superb. That 60-yard ball over the top, but he just got to time his run a little bit better, as Miovski.
6 games without a goal for Miovski for Aberdeen since he scored the winner from the spot against Dundee United in the game before the World Cup break. Breaks to Clarkson, who's a scorer at Pittodrie against Rangers. Fires it out towards Duke on the near side. Tavernier's the covering player. Tavernier goes down, and it's going to come off him and out for an Aberdeen throw-in. Level with the Rangers penalty spot on the main stand, south stand side. Here 22 in, almost at the end of the first quarter of the second of the League Cup semi-finals. Celtic at home with their feet up ahead of next month's showpiece back here. Ange Postecoglou will be hoping the pitch is better than his comments last night. Coulson goes down, I think it's come off the Rangers defender and behind for a corner. Aberdeen's second of the afternoon.
Yeah, I think it might have come off of Tillman, both him and Sakala doubling up on Coulson. He was looking for a free kick, but I think it did clip Tillman, and it presents an opportunity. They've looked quite dangerous from this type of position, Aberdeen. Stewart, as you spoke about before the game, lifts the head of the ball. Willie, he didn't get his last one right, but he's certainly a big target for Aberdeen, in particular for Kennedy.
In swinging corner from Kennedy. Clarkson is a short option, as he was last time, but then he trots away, as he did last time as well. So this is coming into the box again from Kennedy. It's towards the back post this time. Scales gets his head to it and heads it down into the ground and wide, and it stays Rangers 0, Aberdeen 0.
Yeah, good presence there, Scales as well, and if you add McCrory into the mix, along with Stewart, then they do have a threat at set pieces, and if the delivery is good enough, and it was a decent delivery towards the back post there, but there's a lot of bodies, a lot of blue jerseys round about, Scales and Stewart, so very difficult to find that little pocket of space to get a proper header in on it.
It's Aberdeen's 26th League Cup semi-final. They've won 15 of them. Winning record at this stage of the tournament. As Lundstrom picks up in this near side, just in the Aberdeen half on this right flank for Rangers. Long ball looking for Sakala. Scales read it and puts it out for a Rangers throw-in right up the pitch here. It should be taken from round about the level with 18, but Tavernier's a good few yards further back than that. Tavernier, the Rangers skipper, he's moving forward a few steps, then bowls it onto the chest of Morelos, back towards Tillman, comes to Jack then with the outside of the boot, flicks it to the left for Barisic, met by McCrory. Barisic infield to Kent with the short sleeves and the gloves, fires it to the right hand side of the box for Tavernier. He's now at the byline, right foot cross comes in, flicked half away. Barisic, well, he gets more fresh air than ball with that one, and Aberdeen clear, and it stays goalless at the National Stadium after 24 minutes here on Sportsound, across the frequencies of BBC Radio Scotland, on digital and on your smart speaker, online at bbc.co.uk/sportscotland. Rangers flooding into life there, Neil.
Yeah, and we've not seen enough of that from Kent. He's certainly the playmaker, and I think Mick Beale has given him the licence to go and be that, but he's been so quiet, drifting around. Look at him picking the ball up here. I mean, he's the third last player back for Rangers. He wants to get him in those forward areas of the pitch. He found Tavernier with a really good cross, and the 0.1% of Morelos times where he does get across the front post, he was there that time where he almost got on the end of it.
They did a really difficult ball to defend, that, isn't it, when Tavernier gets into that and just smashes it across the face.
Here's Tavernier working the 1-2 with Lundstrom on this near side. Tavernier's long ball sails out. You could hear his exasperated moan in the background as he finds touch only, and Aberdeen have a throw-in level with their own 18-yard line on this near side. Hayden Coulson on loan from Middlesbrough, just drying the ball down. He's looked impressive. He's managed to keep relatively injury free in the last few weeks since the World Cup break. Stop-start beginning to his Aberdeen career as Miovski finds Clarkson, and then Duke picks up on the near side. Tried to lay it off to Miovski there, evaded him, but Duke's able to get back onto it. He finds Coulson, off the ball to Miovski's offside again here. Comes off Ben Davies, up goes the flag, and for the third time this afternoon, Bojan Miovski's flagged off. 26th minute of the game, 0-0.
He needs to time that much better, doesn't he? I mean, you've got to really try to get that message onto him. It's worth actually, being a yard deeper, so that at least you're putting Rangers under a little bit of pressure by playing the ball over the top. They've then got to deal with it going back to their own goal. When you constantly run offside, then you're just handing possession back to them.
Kent picked up on the right hand side there. His pass is wayward though. Coulson goes long again. Lundstrom's bounced away from him. Now Miovski's onto it. He's on his own at the moment though. Kennedy trying to get up in support. Miovski lets fly from the most ambitious of angles, left hand side of the box, and it goes over the crossbar, and it stays Rangers 0, Aberdeen 0 on 26. Kennedy just couldn't get there in time to help him.
No, I mean, he was breaking his neck and he wasn't too chuffed with Miovski taking the shot on, but to be fair to the big striker, I think he probably had a slight peripheral glance really and didn't see anybody there, and I think he's quite right to take it on. And although we're talking about him being offside, he is a threat, isn't he? He likes to go in behind, he plays on the shoulder.
He does that, and normally his timing's pretty good, but when it's such a fine line like that, and that's how he likes to play it, then it's just fractions, isn't it? It's making his mind up too early to go, but if he can just get it timed, then there is going to be opportunities for him, and he seems hungry to have a shot.
Yeah, and Liam, picking up a thing that you mentioned about Kent, he picked up in the right back position there, so he's done that a few times. But see, if you're Aberdeen, you're delighted, because you're just saying to one of the strikers, you can pick Kent up and then I'll just sit here and scream. So I would just love to see Ryan Kent be more of a threat in the final third.
Alec Tillman just inside the Aberdeen half, right of the centre circle. Big switch of play, looking for Barisic. McCrory reads it and heads it out for a Rangers throw-in over on the far side, which is taken quickly by Kent. He's trying his best to get involved in this game. Jack out to Barisic on the touchline, midway inside Aberdeen territory, infield for Kent, and he moves it back to Jack. 27 and a half goalless minutes in here. And there's Jack passing it to Kent along the rutted surface. Little flick from Morelos, couldn't quite find Kent, cleared by Shinnie, and it goes out of play for a Rangers throw-in, a bit level with the edge of the centre circle inside their own half. Taken quickly by Ben Davis. And how delighted Michael Beale must be to have Goldson and Davis free and fit and able to partner each other at the heart of that Rangers defence, because in fairness to your old pal Giovanni Van Bronckhorst this season, Neil, how often did he have two centre-backs to pick from?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's to have a settled centre-back partnership is so vital. We spoke about it just before the game when we were doing the preview to the match, but yeah, it's right on. I think Goldson has proved how important he is to this Rangers team.
Lundstrom on the halfway line, right hand side, rolling it towards Tillman, read by Duke though. The pass wasn't great. Duke taking it across halfway. Miovski to his left, options to his right, and then he runs into a cul-de-sac and loses it, but it breaks Shinnie's way. He finds Ramadani in the centre circle, and he ushers it out to McCrory on that right flank. Onto the touchline for Kennedy. He's been reborn, talking about Sakala earlier, and Tillman. Kennedy has recently as well, getting a good run of games. Ramadani's big switch this time's cut out by Tavernier. His header though goes straight to Shinnie, and now it's Hayden Coulson, who's very impressive in the game against Rangers last month at Pittodrie, and Tillman challenges him. It's a foul, but Tillman's come off the worst there.
Yeah, I think he just maybe caught Coulson's elbow possibly on the way down and taking a dunk to the face, but yeah, certainly a free kick.
I think Rangers, you know, if you're Jim Goodwin, you're pretty content with the way things are going now.
I think he's more than that. Well, I think he'd be happy,
Rangers have slowed the pace down to it's a walking pace. It's so easy to defend against. There's very little threats. You're talking about Kent coming back. You know, who is the threat then? Who's going to, pick the ball up and run at the Aberdeen defence if Kent is playing in a full-back area? So you've got to be delighted with that. But it's pretty pedestrian, the build-up play at times. You don't think just play it forward and maybe even work on the second ball and then try to make it difficult for Aberdeen.
It's just not the style though of Michael Beale and what he's trying to do here, Willie. But if you take Kent out of the forward area, I think Aberdeen's shape after 10 minutes has been so much better, and it stopped Rangers playing through.
Just about to tick on to the half-hour mark in Glasgow. 0-0, Aberdeen free kick. Kennedy's over it, right-footed, coming in on top of the Rangers box here. There's a throng of players along the 18-yard line. Really poor delivery, cleared by Morelos at the edge of the D, up into the air. It bounces around and Coulson gets his head onto it, but Kent's on the follow-up and he's got it through to Jack. Jack's little flick comes off Shinnie, his old teammates, broken Morelos' way, just outside the box, chops onto the right foot, shoots and puts it wide. What an opportunity for Morelos. Surely he's going to take the touch and drive into the penalty area there. He decided to check, took a touch, hit it with the right foot, and it's wide, and it stays Rangers 0, Aberdeen 0, just beyond the half hour.
Referee just having a little word with Stewart here, because he makes the challenge as the ball comes to Kent. He's coming in late, he tries to take him out. Kent gets the pass away, but I have to say, Liam, Scales did ever so well to get back and stop that outside shot. He forces Morelos back into the right foot, then Kennedy's in his face, never looked settled, never looked balanced, and the shot was wide of the goal, but a good opportunity.
It was always stretching for it, wasn't it? The touch to get it back onto the right wasn't a particularly good touch, and then he's stretching, he's not really getting the power behind it, but you're right, I think Scales did extremely well, and Aberdeen, in that occasion the shape was poor. A little bit of good fortune, I thought, for Rangers in terms of the ball breaking for them, but a big chance for Morelos, but never really looked as though he was going to take advantage of it.
Loads of head tennis down there. The Australian Open starts, I think, tomorrow. He eventually settles at the feet of Matty Kennedy. He finds Ramadani, and he rolls it back into his own half for Liam Scales. So goalless, 31 and a half played in this semi-final tie. It's Coulson up the line for Duke, back to Coulson, plays it off Tillman, gets it back, a bit fortunate. He nicks it back into his own half for Scales. As I mentioned earlier, if Aberdeen do win this semi, he would be unable to play in the final against Celtic. That, of course, was something that befell Aberdeen in 2017 in the Scottish Cup. Ryan Christie scored in the semi-final, couldn't play in the final, in which they performed very well in. Tillman breaking forward for Rangers meantime. Morelos stabs it to Kent, takes a touch left-footed, saved by Roos, breaks out to Sakala, and he slices it well wide, and it stays Rangers 0, Aberdeen 0. Ryan Kent, well, he loves it in that area of the pitch, just at the edge of the D there, broke to him, but he did find the target, but he couldn't get it past Keller-Roos, who makes the save, and it stays 0 each.
That's a decent enough save, isn't it, from Roos? I think he's got to try and get it a little bit wider, though. I mean, it was wide enough, I think, when he's parried it out, and Sakala has got to show more composure there, isn't it? It's just that.
It's just what he does, though. Well, he can be quite erratic. He goes for power rather than precision, but when it fell to Kent, we know Kent's so comfortable off of both sides, but it was Tillman's injection of pace to go past, and it was a bit of fortune actually falls its way to Ryan Kent, but it was a decent effort. It was comfortable in the end, I think, for the goalkeeper.
Here's Kent's got it through the legs of McCrory, but Kennedy spares his blushes by winning it back for Aberdeen. Dinks it out to Ross McCrory on the far side. McCrory driving away from one. I think that's gone over the line there. So the Rangers fans are saying the assistant on the far side disagrees. McCrory continues his run now. It has gone out of play. McCrory running it out, and that will be a throw into Rangers. A lot further up the park than they felt they should have had, and that's the point Ryan Jack's making. I'm in the south stand here, and it looked like it was over the line. I could be wrong.
The thing is, Liam, nowadays after the World Cup, if it looks over the line, it doesn't necessarily mean that it is over the line. Yeah, I mean, it was a Japan game, wasn't it? Where
Japan-Germany, was it?
For you know, in football, that's over the line, but it isn't actually over the line because the curve of the ball was still touching the line, and I think that was the case over on the touchline there. It certainly looked over, but it wasn't.
It's 0 each, heading towards 34 minutes. As with all semi-finals, the longer it goes 0-0, the more tense everyone becomes. 11 minutes from the break here. These two teams back in action. Because of the semi-finals, their league games were postponed, and those rescheduled matches taking place on Wednesday. Aberdeen at Hearts, Rangers at Kilmarnock. Here comes Tavernier for Rangers down the right-hand side. Aberdeen giving it away. Tavernier, low ball across for Tillman. Back to Tavernier, he's in space, level with the 6-yard line. Picks out the cross, looking for Morelos. Headed away by Stewart. Lundstrom picks up the scraps and rolls it out to the left-hand touchline for Barisic, who finds Kent ahead of him, level with the 18 of Aberdeen. Barisic in the overlap gets onto it. First time cross comes in, Scales with the header. And he had to get there because Malik Tillman was diving in, and he's brilliant with his head as well. But it's brilliantly timed by Liam Scales. He read it superbly well. Rangers throw in as they keep the pressure on here. Having a little purple patch, Rangers here. They've had a couple of opportunities in the last few minutes. They've tested Keller-Roos, hit the post early on through Sakala. Barisic bends the ball in, and he's cross is cut out, and he goes behind for a Rangers corner over on that far side. The Rangers left as they attack the goal to the right. 10 from the break, 0 each.
What a ball in from Barisic, and hand over to you, Willie, but Scales' his header is superb because he gets himself across the front post from the left side of the box almost, or the 6-yard box, isn't it?
Well, he's on his own really in terms of dealing with it, isn't he?
I think Duke's got a problem incidentally.
Yeah.
Which would be a real shame for Aberdeen,
without doubt.
In swinging corner from Tavernier into the box. Tillman gets a flick, comes off Scales, and out for another Rangers corner. I just saw Jim Goodwin having a word with Johnny Hayes down there. I think there might be a change coming for Aberdeen shortly.
Well, he's not a bad replacement, in terms of experience and his pace and his understanding.
In comes the cross, and Morelos with the header. Roos saves. He's claiming it's over. He's got his arms outstretched.
It can't be over.
And the long ball goes out and behind for the goal kick. Morelos still having a go at the assistant on this near side, David Room, claiming this has gone over the line before Roos has made the save at the near post. It stays 0-0, but that's 3 really decent opportunities that Rangers have conjured up in the last 5 minutes or so.
Right, Willie's brilliant on this, whether the ball's over the line, but I didn't think it was totally over. It was a good header with Sakala. Again, worryingly at the back post for Aberdeen that he gets the space to do it.
Yeah, I don't think it is over
Morelos
the line.
Actually, sorry.
Yeah, and it's a big chance for Morelos, and he does that. He drifts off. He takes up great positioning. I don't know. He goes for the near post. Maybe going for the far post would be the better option. But no, it's not over the line.
Well, when you come to Glasgow and you take on Celtic or Rangers, you need to ride your luck now and again. And Aberdeen a couple of times could easily have gone behind in this match. Sakala, I mentioned just a moment ago, hitting the post early on. Morelos forcing the save from Roos. Kent forcing the save from Kellaroos as well. And Morelos found himself in a good position just inside the box a little before that one. So
I would love to see the evidence as well, Liam, because Nick Walsh is clearly telling everybody in the stadium and the viewing public and us up here that he's checking his watch. It's not gone over, but it must have been mighty close. I thought it was a good header, Willie, because I thought he was beyond the back post, and I think all he could do on the way down was power it downwards, and I thought it was a really good stop.
Yeah. Well, we have had goal line technology at the National Stadium in recent years before VAR, as Kent picks up and finds Tillman. Rangers are coming forward with menace. Tillman squeezing it into the area, couldn't find Morelos. Scales was there. They're having another one of these purple patches, Rangers here. Aberdeen just trying to survive it, but here comes Duke for the Dons across halfway. Option out to the left, decides to flick it towards Miovski. Read by Davis, who clears. Looked like the more ambitious ball with Leighton Clarkson out on the left hand side. And he's paid the price, he's given it away, and Rangers come forward. Sakala for Tillman, left hand side of the box, gets there before it gets to the byline, but his cross swings over the line, and Aberdeen have a goal kick. 38 played, Rangers 0, Aberdeen 0. But it has been a good spell for Rangers just these last 10 minutes. Yeah,
they've ramped the pressure up again. It's those wide areas getting joy, which they had in the early part of the game. The good news, it seems, for Jim Goodwin and Aberdeen is it seems to have shaken off that little knock he had, and just watching the goal decision system as we speak, and it's not even close actually. I mean, the ball's sitting on the line, isn't it?
Well, it's not over yet. Half the ball is over the line, as in it's halfway going towards the goal.
It looks like just sitting plumb on the line, the ball. But going back to the Duke, it certainly pulled up. He was trying to track Tavernier, and he pulled up quick. That's why Johnny Hayes was sent out, but it looks fine. He had a good run there, so seems to have shaken off any
that would be a huge
effects.
blow.
Yeah, it would have been.
Jim Goodwin geeing his troops up down there. Unbelievably, next month it will be a decade since Jim Goodwin lifted this trophy high above his head as St Mirren captain, and they beat Hearts 3-2 in that thrilling final after an equally thrilling semi-final victory over Celtic here. 10 years will be on his mind. I'm sure he thinks about it daily. The Irishman lifting the League Cup on St Patrick's Day was a big moment for him, and he's looking to do it as Aberdeen manager. Rangers standing in their way, and Rangers have been the better team in the first half. Aberdeen were making it an even contest probably for about half of this half, you would have to say, but Rangers started it well, and they are finishing it well here. Just over 5 minutes to play of the first half, and it's Rangers 0, Aberdeen 0. Rangers knocking on the door though, a little louder than they were beforehand. It's Tillman back to Goldson on the halfway line, steps into Aberdeen territory and rolls it to Tillman to the right. Tavernier is ahead of him, he's found him. Tavernier's in space, he's at the byline, it's a low ball back, he couldn't quite find Morelos. Stewart's in the right place and gets it away as Duke finds Shinnie, who finds Clarkson. Clarkson goes long looking for Miovski, desperately trying to stay onside, he hasn't managed that. Kennedy's come from nowhere, no question he was onside. Kennedy chips it across, Miovski, goal! There's going to be a massive post-mortem in the Rangers defence. Aberdeen though continue on the right hand side, and Bojan Miovski clips it past Alan McGregor, and it is the Dons who have first blood in the second League Cup semi-final. Rangers 0, Aberdeen 1, and the Miovski mini goal drought is well and truly over here on Glasgow's south side.
Definitely a predator. He knows where to be at the right time, does everything absolutely correctly, because he knows that he's offside as that pass is placed forward, so he leaves it, but then Rangers don't deal with it, leave it for Alan McGregor. Defenders don't just go back and simply defend the situation, but then he makes a run, and Kennedy's brilliant in terms of, he comes from a deep lying position, runs onto the ball, gets into a wide area, and then looks up and just dinks the ball in front of Miovski and says to him, go and tap that into the back of the net. And that's exactly what he does.
What a good finish. What a ball, obviously, and as it's live, I'm commenting on how good a ball that is from Kennedy, but he runs better. His desire to go and recognise that Miovski is offside. Good awareness as well from him, Liam, to leave it, to understand that Kennedy is getting onto it. Horrific from Barisic, I want to say. Horrific. because he's in a much better position. He's at least 3 yards goal side of Kennedy, and he doesn't switch on. He doesn't identify that Kennedy's going to have a wee bit of a race here and a piece of this, but full marks to Aberdeen. That's a brilliant goal made by Kennedy, and it's a lovely little cushion finish by Alan McGregor, but post-mortem it will be. But Barisic from the Rangers side,
well, he just stopped, didn't he? He simply stopped.
He thinks McGregor's coming for it. He looks back, and I think McGregor did make inroads to come out and then decided not to. So the communication between both of them, then Barisic has just left it.
He's running, he's throwing in desperation as well. Well, he's throwing the hand up saying it's offside, but Kennedy's not offside because he's 3-4 yards goal or good side of being onside. But I mean, it's brilliant play from Kennedy, and what a cross, because it has to be perfect in between the channel of goalkeeper and defender, with enough pace to take it away from the defender, but just enough pace to give Majowski a chance to get in on it.
It's just a little dink, isn't it? Just a little dink cross just in front of him, knows exactly what he's doing. Defender's back there as well, so it's got to be perfect for him, and it bounces up. It's just inviting, isn't it? You just go, thank you very much, first goal.
Just wonder what was going through Johnny Hayes' mind on the Aberdeen bench, because it's a very similar position to where he was when he tried to put in a plate for Kenny McLean in the 2017 Scottish Cup final against Celtic, which they lost with one of the last attacks of the game. And it's Aberdeen who lead through Bojan Majowski's 13th goal of the season. Big moment in his career. He's already had a huge one. He set up North Macedonia's playoff winner against the European champions Italy in the World Cup playoff semi-final last year. And that's an expert finish, but Borna Barisic's head must be swimming after that. And that's come quite late in the first half. We're 43 and a half in. Rangers 0, Aberdeen 1 now. Rangers have been asked an almighty question. Now remember, 95 was on the clock when they scored 2 against Aberdeen. So Michael Beale will not be panicking right now, because they've been the better side in an attacking sense in this game, but they do find themselves behind. And Aberdeen, whose record against Rangers has been better in Glasgow in recent years than it's been at Pittodrie, are ahead as Shinnie fills Morelos, and Nick Walsh wants to speak to the former Don skipper.
Come on.
I didn't think it was worth a yellow card.
Come on.
I honestly didn't, but I think Shinnie loves this fixture, doesn't he? He wants to get involved, he wants to put his boot in. The pantomime villain of Morelos walks past him a little bit of afters there on the way up to the front line, but Shinnie is no shrinking violet. He's not going to just go away and wilt.
A word was enough though, from the referee.
Yeah, I think it was the right thing.
Final minute of the first half. And it's the Aberdeen supporters who are singing. It's Connor Goldson picks up for Rangers, just it goes across halfway. The sliding challenge from Ramadani, picked up by Tillman. Of course, Aberdeen took the lead at Ibrox this season, beaten 4-1. They're playing a lot better today than they were that day, as Jack slips it out to the left for Barisic. Now down the line for Kent. Rangers looking for an equaliser before the break, but Kent's giving it away straight to McCrory, who's giving it away himself. And it's Barisic infield to Jack, and now it's with Lundstrom, left of the centre circle. Turns it out to that left-hand side. 3 minutes of injury time have been added on. We're into the first of those now. It's with Goldson in the centre circle. Everyone bar Alan McGregor's in the Aberdeen half here. Tillman for Lundstrom. Pokes it forward to Morelos. First time back out wide right for Tavernier. Tavernier clips it to Morelos. The edge of the box finds Tillman. Tillman stabs it into the area. Scales with a header away. Ramadani clears it. Clarkson, brilliantly done from him. Now Duke has it. Fouled by Tavernier, you would imagine. The referees are trying to give Aberdeen an advantage there, but it's pinched back there. Tavernier and Lundstrom win it back for Rangers. And now it's Jack for Kent inside the centre circle, and he moves it back to Ben Davis, the former Liverpool defender, out to Barisic on the left hand side. Down the line for Sakala, spinning McCrory, who slides in to put it out for a Rangers throw-in, level with the Aberdeen penalty spot, wide in that north stand side, in that north-east corner of the stadium. Taken by Barisic to Kent, back to the Croatia international, to Kent, and then infield to Davis. One of the 3 minutes of injury time has come and gone. Aberdeen leading by a goal to 0. It's with Tavernier on this near side, and he moves it back to Goldson, who finds Davis in the centre circle on the halfway line. Spreads it to Jack. who finds Kent, and then back to Jack again. Jack forward to Sakala. It's good possession football by Rangers this. Sakala goes through the gears, edge of the box. He shoots wide of the left-hand post. He's about 25, maybe slightly less than that from goal, and he puts it well past the left-hand post, and it stays Rangers 0, Aberdeen 1.
A smart little take and turn from Sakala and pushes away from Shinnie, but again, just smashing at it, choking down on it, never really endangering losing goal of Aberdeen. But those little areas, Willie, I think is where Rangers should be operating, and I talk about Kent and Tillman. If you're playing a 4-4 against a 4-4-2 and it's flat at times, that middle four of Aberdeen is really important that Rangers try and operate in between the lines, because it'll disrupt them, but they're coming actually deeper, and that's exactly where that midfield four want to see them, in front of them, not behind.
Tavernier with a throw in, level the edge of the centre circle, inside his own half. We're in the final minute of the 3 at the end of the first half. Foul on Tillman by a combination of Clarkson and Shinnie, and then Lundstrom and Duke get involved after that. And it's going to be a free kick to Rangers, just maybe about 10 yards from this near side. We go into the final 30 seconds of the injury time. James Tavernier's over it. Can Rangers hit back before the break? An opportunity to do so. They will have the final say in the first half. Tavernier over this free kick, right-footed into the Aberdeen box it comes, headed half away. Shinnie trying to get onto it, but it will be Barisic who'll get there first. Just over 10 seconds left of the first half. Jack rolling it out to Kent on the left-hand touchline. Kent stepping in field, finds Lundstrom. Lundstrom then with the long looping ball to the right-hand side of the box for Sakala, who controls. I make that time up. Nick Walsh has added some time on top of the 3 minutes. Sakala on the near side, won back by Duke, and there is the half-time whistle at the National Stadium, and it's Aberdeen who have the lead. At the interval here, Bojan Mijovski's 13th goal of the season. He was in an offside position, he checked his run. The problem for Rangers is Borna Barisic did likewise. Thought McGregor was coming. They didn't bargain on Matty Kennedy, who drove forward, right-hand side of the area, crossed in for Mijovski, produced an expert finish. The North Macedonian guiding it past Alan McGregor. A delicate finish from Aberdeen's number 9. And it's ended a 6-game goal drought for him. Rangers threatened plenty in that first half. In fact, in the first 3 minutes, Sakala headed off the post before Mijovski had the ball in the net. It was ruled out for offside correctly, and Anthony Stewart missed an opportunity during that middle meaty point of the first half where Aberdeen had bedded themselves into proceedings. But Morelos, Kent and Morelos again had opportunities. Sakala on the follow-up to the Kent effort, which tested Keller Roos. Morelos thought he'd a header over the line. Roos had made the save. The technology proved that it hadn't crossed the line. And then 4 minutes from the end of the regulation 45, Bojan Mijovski's magic moment. And as it stands, next month's League Cup final will be Celtic against Aberdeen. Rangers have plenty time still to save this though. Half-time at Hampden is Rangers 0, Aberdeen 1.
The Scottish League Cup.
Live on Sports Sound from BBC Radio Scotland.
Where Scottish football lives.
Well, it's certainly the Aberdeen fans off to our right who have been enjoying the closing stages of the opening 45 minutes. They were bouncing with delight on the end of that very clever goal that Aberdeen scored. Horrendous defending by Rangers, but a great attacking play by Kennedy and Mijovski. Could Aberdeen be heading back here to take on Celtic in the League Cup final? Still a long way to go. They know that only too well, given what happened at Pittodrie just before Christmas. But they're going to be very, very happy. I'm going to say, Tom English over the piece, it has been a very entertaining opening 45 minutes, hasn't it?
It has, and you know, despite the state of the pitch last night and today, we've had but 2 good semi-finals. Despite the conditions, I think it's gone at a fair old pace, isn't it? That first half, chances, commitment, the sucker punch, the counter-attack, brilliant goal from Aberdeen. I'm wondering again, I'd like to see it after about 10 or 12 minutes. I wonder if Aberdeen should have had a penalty. Davis seemed to wrestle Scales. Similar-ish incident to last night. That wasn't given. This wasn't given.
It was actually given as a foul by Scales.
Yeah, which is...
It didn't look like it was.
Didn't look. I'd just like to see it again. I'm not saying it was a penalty or otherwise.
Yeah.
I'd just like to see it again, just raising it. Morelos has had 2 decent chances, misses the target with the first one, hits the target with the second one. Good save. It's a tale of 2 strikers, isn't it? Majowski's had 1 chance and he scores it, and it's a beautiful finish. Kennedy, brilliant. But he's been very good, hasn't he, this season?
Kennedy,
yeah. Kennedy's been very good. Majowski has gone off the boil a little bit, but what a lovely finish. Composure in the moment. Gets in behind Davis. Barisic, as the boys were saying, gave up on it. But still, there was plenty for Kennedy to do, and plenty for Majowski to do. I know he's right in front of goal, but it's a cool finish. And it's a terrific goal, and it just sets this up beautifully.
Actually, the finish was such that it was one of those where Alan McGregor knew there was no point in even moving to it. He immediately gave up because he wasn't going to get to it. He was wrong-footed, and it was just a very, very clever finish.
Richard, see the finish? Yeah. If I could just jump in, I'm being an ex-wide player, see that cross? How good it is. I can't over egg this, because it's so good because of the run he's made.
Yes.
I mean, he's run what, 40-50 yards. He must be starting to run out of juice, and still to be able to deliver the perfect cross with the right weight in the right area. I mean, you can't overplay how good a ball that is. So the finish was good, but Matty Kennedy's magnificent.
Just before we move on from that, we talk a lot about the laws and how they've been amended over the years, and we were talking earlier about the fact that it seems that the authorities want to make what should be a simple game very difficult. There's one change that has been beneficial, isn't it? Because back in the day and for many, many years, the moment that ball goes forward, the flag goes up, Majowski's offside whether he goes for the ball or not.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, I remember Dundee United against Rangers here in the League Cup semi-final, I think it was. Eamon Bannon ripped one into the top corner for 25 yards, and down by the corner flag, Paul Sturrock was standing in an offside position, and the goal was ruled out. So Aberdeen, well, I say benefit, I mean, it's donkey's year since it was changed, but it has been changed, and it has been positive. And it was clever. I mean, they utilised it perfectly.
They did. It was smart play. It was clinical, and I'm just watching it again. It's beautiful, because I would imagine, Neil, the fear for Matty Kennedy having bust a gut to get there is to overplay that.
Absolutely.
It's just to balloon it.
Yeah, absolutely. And because he has a look, it's not an accidental pick out where you're just putting into an area. He's looking as he's still full power. I mean, the foot's down there. He takes a touch with his left just to get it into the right area where it's just a feathered little ball in. I mean, the weight is perfection. So yeah, there's a lot could have gone wrong with that cross. That was the margin for error was huge there, particularly because of the run it had just done, Tom. But yeah, brilliant cross.
And for Aberdeen to finish ahead after the first 10 minutes, you think, this is going to be a difficult day. Sakala hits the post. Rangers well on top, but they've weathered that kind of mini storm, and they've really come back into the game. I think Shinnie, he is a big signing for them potentially. It
just feels right seeing him back out there in an Aberdeen shirt, doesn't it?
But he's got composure, doesn't he? He's got presence, he's got composure, he's got leadership. It's exactly what they needed. And I think he's having a big game as well.
And from that point onwards, actually, you said the first 10-11 minutes, I think Neil said, it was like 15 minutes really before Aberdeen began to settle, but they did. And then the chances for 20-25 minutes, the chances were coming at either end. That was when it was a really open, really exciting game.
And I think it's when they got to grips with what Rangers were doing. I spoke before the game about an organised chaos type where Kent would go anywhere, Tillman would drop anywhere at times, and sometimes it can spook the opposition. But if you remember what I said to that, to combat that, Richard, is you just say, we'll be disciplined, we'll get into a good shape, and we'll pick it off. And that's exactly what happened with Aberdeen. Got themselves into better positions. They said to the fullbacks, you do your job. Duke and Kennedy, you do your job. You mark your wide player, or if the fullback is up, you pick him up, and I'll go back so far. And then when we win the ball, then we're in better positions to get ourselves into the game, to create chances for ourselves where it's not a defending operation. But there's a few things that I think that Rangers are getting right, and that's in the wide areas. And I think there's a few things that they're getting wrong, where they're dropping too deep at times, Tom, and not really affecting Aberdeen's midfield four.
So here's the thing. What are Aberdeen thinking now? Given the history of the game at Pittodrie, they're ahead again. What are they thinking? If they are the ghosts of Pittodrie in their head, or will they have learned from that?
Well, you just don't change what you're doing, do you?
I don't think they need to change it, though, do they? Really? I mean, the only thing that I would say, and agree with what Neil has said about dealing with the wide areas, but in effect they haven't really dealt with it properly. They're still being exposed in the wide areas. They're dealing with it better, I would say, than the first 10-15 minutes or so. But they're still getting exposed, and defensively, both fullbacks I don't think are switched on enough for the little ball, inside between the centre back and the fullback, or the little 1-2 as well.
With that, Willie,
or the overlap, or what do they call it these days? Don't call it an overlap anymore, do they? They call it something else that I can't remember. Anyway, they're getting exposed in the wide areas, and maybe Jim Goodwin is okay to accept that. Maybe it's okay to accept that, but for me that puts the fear of death into me when they're getting so much room in the wide areas to whip in crosses across the face of your defence. And I would say Scales more so than Stewart, but I think both of them have done extremely well defending, whenever the ball has been crossed into the box, to defend the situation.
Yeah, I think where it's falling down from the wide areas, Willie, and I said that Rangers are doing well there, is that the fullbacks deal with the wingers. That's your job. You go 1v1 defending. But if you're a wide player, you can't be failing in your work rate. If the fullback's getting in there, if it's Tavernier and Barisic, then that of course is the responsibility of Kennedy and Duke in the wide areas, not to allow that overlap, a 2v1 situation. You still have to do your defensive duties, and that's where they're probably falling down a little bit. But in terms of the structure, and then passing on to McCrory and Coulson to deal with, if it's Sakala or Kent, I mean, I don't think McCrory's had to deal with Kent. I can't remember one time actually, because he's coming so deep.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting decision for Jim to make, and I think you're right, Richard. I think you've all said it there. It's more of the same. I think if anything, you've got to ask, what are Rangers going to do?
Well, what they have been doing actually is getting some decent balls into the box. They've had the opportunities. There was the Morelos header, and he spun away, claiming it was over the line. Given that the goalkeeper wasn't even over the line, it would have been hard for the ball to get there, given he was right behind it. And as we saw the graphic there, it was clearly nowhere near over. So far, has Anthony Stewart backed up his pre-match comments then?
Well, I mean, Morelos has had two chances and he's missed both of them. So if you put Cholak on the end of both of those, would there be one of them be a goal? We don't know. We just don't know.
Well, Anthony Stewart probably thinks so, because he knows that Cholak's a better player.
But he's had two glaring chances as well, which tells you that he still is a player that you've got to give due respect to, and I don't think that Anthony Stewart didn't give him respect. I think the comment would maybe blown it up a little bit, just for a bit of theatre perhaps.
Bit of fun. Bit of fun.
So, but he still isn't the player that he used to be, that's for sure, Morelos. He still isn't that threat. Although he's got himself into very good positions, he hasn't found the back of the net, and that's what he was good at doing not that long ago. So I mean, I think Anthony Stewart and Liam Scales can be more than pleased with how they've dealt with him so far in the first half.
The players, substitutes at least, going through their paces down below us. Still got probably a couple of minutes before those who have been doing battle will be returning to the pitch. But right now, it has been very, very enjoyable. The quality's been really good. Tom, I think you touched on this earlier. You talked about the Celtic Kilmarnock game yesterday evening. Seen more of the same here. And I was seeing a bit more belief maybe from this Aberdeen team, that so many times over the years, since the glory days, Aberdeen sides have gone to Celtic Park, to Ibrox, to Hampden Park, and haven't actually looked like they might believe they could do it. Yeah,
I think we are. I think their belief grew as the half went on. And bear in mind, this is a side that's won 1 in 6, is it? They beat St Johnstone last week. 2-0, but St Johnstone, they conceded 4 yesterday against Livy, so I wasn't holding that up as a turning the corner moment. This, clearly, if they win this will be a turning the corner moment. But I think defensively, I had major issues with them. I think everyone would have major issues with them. I think they've done okay defensively. Rangers have had a few chances, but then they will get chances. I think they've looked confident. Shinnie's made a big difference. Kennedy has been a live wire. Miofsky getting that goal, he's back in the goals now, only increases his confidence. There's a lot of good elements in this Aberdeen team. It's a question of what's upstairs now. Do they have the mentality to win this game? can they embrace this, or are they afraid of it? And I think they got a little bit afraid of it at Pittodrie. This is a bigger stakes here. It's a place in a cup final. Let's see what they've got upstairs, because I think this is a psychological battle now as much as a game of football.
I suppose the question actually would be, did the players get afraid of it? Did the manager
same.
In terms of the changes he made?
Did they panic? Did they drop deep? They will be pushed deep, won't they? They're
bound to.
They're bound to be, but can they? I think their concentration levels have been very good.
What we've certainly seen from Rangers sort of against Celtic, I think, in the last game and in one or two other matches, Michael Beale's touched on this as well. They've played in patches and spells, but what they have done on occasions is they've suddenly really lifted it. Neil talked about one stage, or perhaps it was Willie, about Rangers almost playing at a walking pace. They've shown they're capable of flicking that switch and bringing the game back to Aberdeen.
Yeah, I mean, his first game, they're behind at half-time at Ibrox against Hibs, and they turn around and win the game. Late in the day, they're behind at Pittodrie, intimidating environment. They turn around, they win the game. You know, under Beale, they have this mental strength. They've dug themselves out of holes like this before. Here's another one. Here's another test for Michael Beale. Very early on in his Rangers time, but this is a biggie.
Incidentally,
sorry, Richard, I think it's quite easy to play against Rangers when they play at that tempo. You know, it is very slow, and it's a slow build-up, and I know what Neil's saying, you know, that's the way Michael Beale wants to play the game, but if you're defending against it, it's relatively easy, and then you have to really concentrate then when they get, you know, within 30 yards of your goal. But anywhere, you know, out with that, then you don't. It's walking pace, and that's what I think. The whole tempo goes down, and it gives Aberdeen recovery time as well, time to recover mentally as well as physically. And I think from a Rangers point of view, I would think the tempo's got to be higher. They've got players on the bench that can make it higher.
James Tavernier leading his players out. Can't see any changes as things stand. Just quickly before we hand back the commentary, Tom. Again, we talked a lot about VAR beforehand. It's proved how it can work in terms of the early Miovski goal. Had we not had VAR, and that was an incredible finish by the North Macedonian, you've got to say, when he smashed it in the roof of the net. But that's an argument that would have raged on had we not had VAR.
Yeah. Listen, I mean, VAR has its uses, absolutely. Listen, in Scotland, it's going to be controversial forevermore, but you know, we can see there that it's come up trumps.
Right, the players are back out. Nick Walsh, the referee, makes his way back out. The two managers, well, certainly Jim Goodwin out there, right to the edge of his technical area, and Michael Beale down below us as well. 1-0 it is for Aberdeen, thanks to Bojan Miovski. Live second half commentary, Sports Sound on BBC Radio Scotland, with Willie Miller, Neil McCann and Liam McLeod.
Aberdeen have only managed one clean sheet away from Pittodrie this season to top flight teams, managed a couple against lower ranked sides in the League Cup groups, in which they took part in for the first time since it was reintroduced in 2016. But if they keep one here, it will be they who return here to Hampden next month to take on the holder Celtic. Rangers have 45 minutes. They only had 3 minutes from behind at Pittodrie. They managed to win that game as they kick off the second half in the blue shirts, white shorts, black socks with the red top, shooting right to left towards Mount Florida. Aberdeen all in red with the white pinstripes on the shirts. They'll shoot east, where their supporters are, the majority of their supporters are housed, as Lundstrom finds Tillman on that right-hand side. No changes for either team at half-time as Shinnie wins it back for the Dons and is tripped over on the far side. It's McGregor in goal for Rangers. Tavernier, who's got 12 goals against Aberdeen in his career. Goldson, Davies and Barisic, Jack and Lundstrom, Sakala, Tillman, Kent and Morelos for Aberdeen. Roos in goal, McCrory, Stewart, Scales and Coulson, Ramadani and Shinnie, Kennedy, Clarkson, Duke and Miovski, the goal scorer. Free kick's taken, it's cleared by Goldson, and Scales climbing in Sakala. The Rangers fans want a free kick, not getting one as it's picked up by Lundstrom. His pass is poor though. It goes straight to Hayden Coulson, who picks up on that far side as we tick into the second minute of the second half. That's a loose pass as well. Goldson picks up and rolls it forward onto the halfway line for Morelos. It goes back to Lundstrom and now out to Barisic. Rangers will be desperate to hit back almost immediately here at the start of the second half. The Miovski's goal coming just a handful of minutes away from the end of the regulation 45 in that first half. Tavernier picks up down on the north stand side and rolls it down the line for Sakala. Sakala runs into Coulson though, well defended. Hayden Coulson has it, he's gone long looking for Miovski. Goldson, should be easy enough for him, it is. It's a cushion header to Tillman. And now it's back with Connor Goldson. Michael Beale will be looking for, I almost said Ian Beale.
Is he from the East End? I'm not sure. I know he's a London.
I'm so sorry. Yes, he'll be looking for a big reaction at the start of the second half here.
He will be, yeah. I think he'll be looking for a lot more penetrating play. Again, spoke about the wide areas, but I think he wants the tempo of the game up, as Wally suggested as well. I don't think the tempo has been really great enough to cause Aberdeen the type of trouble that I think they're capable of.
47 and a bit minutes in, Aberdeen leading 1-0. Barisic picks up on the near side and rolls it back to Goldson, who finds Alan McGregor. Made that late appearance that we thought was going to be his last one as a professional footballer. The last time Rangers were here late on in that Scottish Cup final win over Hearts. As Lundstrom finds Goldson. They need to pick up the pace, Rangers, though, Neil, you would have to say, because again it's looking relatively pedestrian. That's a brilliant ball towards Ryan Kent down the left-hand side. Kent moves infield, central area, rolls it towards Sakala. I think Jack was the intended target. I think Coulson takes over, and it's a lovely little flick for Duke Lopez. He crosses the halfway line, works it back to Coulson. He's just outside the centre circle, slips it out to Duke down the left. Duke has it, left-hand side of the Rangers box. Miovski and Kennedy in the middle. It's Duke attacking Lundstrom, looking for at least the corner, and he gets it off the Scouse midfielder. And it's an Aberdeen corner, 48 in, with the Dons leading 1-0.
That's good play, isn't it? You know, Coulson, who is a very good footballer, you know, would suggest that, you know, if he's got a deficiency, it's certainly in the defensive area, but you know, linking with Duke and Duke, you know, having that directness, that confidence, that, you know, the step overs as well. Lundstrom goes back, he's got his eye on it. I'm thinking Duke, take him on. You know, okay, there's a little touch there from Lundstrom to give away the corner, but I think he could have taken him on towards the byline.
Kennedy corner, in swinger, right hand side, and it comes. And the Aberdeen left into the right hand side of the box, headed clear, now Sakala's away in the counter. 1-on-1 with Coulson just now. Aberdeen are flooding back in numbers. Sakala's on his own at the moment. Coulson to time it right, and he does. That's a great chance for Sakala. He's looking to the heavens for answers as Aberdeen clear their lines. It stays 1-0 to the men in red. 49 played.
It's a curse of the commentator, isn't it? Seeing Coulson's deficiency brilliantly there. Absolutely magnificent.
He goes to ground. I think Sakala's got to make his mind up quicker though.
Here comes Tillman. Showed too much to Stewart. He gets it away. Now Jack for Kent. Done with support, Sakala. Of course, he's so quick. His teammates couldn't keep up with him.
Yeah, I mean, the cavalry were coming to help Coulson out right enough, but he didn't need it with a brilliant challenge.
Here's Morelos in the box. Back to Sakala at the byline. He's got his cross in, but it's headed away by McCrory. Picked up by Barisic. Rangers have turned up the heat now as the cross comes in, comes off McCrory, and it's clear by Ramadani. Up high into the Glasgow sky. It drops down on this near side where Davis pushes it forward to Jack, who moves it infield to Lundstrom. 50 on the clock, 1-0 Aberdeen. Rangers with a bit more bite here. Ryan Jack is it nicked off him by Ramadani. It's won back by Barisic though. Here's Kent, infield to Tillman. Tillman out wide left for Barisic. He's overhit it though, and that goes out for a throw into Aberdeen, level with their own 6-yard line on this main stand side, and it stays Rangers 0, Aberdeen 1.
Got a wee bit tasty there, which was good for the game, I think. A couple of challenges flying in. I'm just watching the replay again about Sakala. I mean, what a challenge this is from Coulson. But yeah, I think Rangers have got a lift actually from Sakala's run, although it didn't come to anything. It's his energy at times. Particularly I go back to the Old Firm game where it was his endeavour and willingness to just go and take the game in the scruff of the neck at times that lifted the team, and it seems to have done it already for Rangers in this second half, because I thought they started a little bit slow.
Tell you what, Willie, Hayden Coulson's got to time that perfectly, hasn't he?
Well, he has, and you know, he does take his time to make his mind
Great
up.
flick by Morelos. Tillman was in the box, he's still on it here on the left foot, rolls it back to Jack, who shoots over the crossbar to the delight of the Aberdeen supporters. 51 in, Rangers 0, Aberdeen 1. Another good little spell this for the Scottish Cup holders though.
That was an understatement, put it over the bar. I mean, you're talking Ryan Jack, maybe not noted for his strikes and goal, but he's got to do much better than that. Tillman sets it up for him. Does it take a little bounce? I mean, the pitch isn't in great condition, and maybe that is an excuse that you can put in front of Ryan Jack. But for me, it's a big opportunity for him just to drive that one towards goal.
He did hop up a little bit on him, Willie, to be honest, but he's got to get his body over the top. I think he was leaning back and it would have probably gone over the bar anyway. But a lovely little flick from Morelos actually to send Tillman in the goal.
Ryan Jack was on point the last time he played here for Rangers, that Scottish Cup final. He scored the opening goal in extra time. Wonderful strike it was. Scott Wright adding the second. Another former Aberdeen player who is listed on the Rangers bench. It's McLaughlin, Kamara, Wright, Roof, McCann, Arfield, the hero at Pittodrie, King, Devine and Lowry who make up the Rangers bench. Lewis, Bannon, Bazowen, Mislovic, the new signing, Watkins, Hayes, Duncan, Richardson and Ramirez on the Aberdeen bench. Coulson, he's done well against Sakala this afternoon. He's done well again there as Shinnie picks up, plays it off Tillman. It breaks back to Scales, who clears with the left peg. Header by Tavernier. Only as far as Ramadani though. He finds Duke on the far side and then he wins the throw and just takes a bit of heat off the Aberdeen defence. 52.5 on the clock. Rangers 0, Aberdeen 1.
I think if it's Aberdeen, you're quite happy if it gets a little bit meaty like that, a little bit scrappy. Not too much room for Rangers to build things up, particularly in that final third, the third that Aberdeen are defending. So I don't think Jim Goodwin will be unhappy the way the second half started.
Header cushion there by Davis to Goldson. And now Goldson rolls it to his central defensive partner again, Ben Davis. Out to this near side for Barisic. 53 now on the clock. Still Rangers 0, Aberdeen 1. Rangers have had almost exclusive possession for the opening 8 minutes of this second half. Goldson's ball is over the head of Tavernier though, and out for an Aberdeen throw-in on the far side. It's passes like that that just get the Rangers supporters restless.
This is what happened at Pittodrie, if you remember. I mean, into the second half, They began to get really scrappy, really, not finding their target with their passes, and looking very nervous, about it. And I think when it is such a slow build-up, although it's an opportunity for Aberdeen, perhaps.
Yeah, it's Miovski driving down that left-hand side. Nobody hit in the middle of the moment. Kennedy has arrived. In comes the chip ball, and Alan McGregor holds on inside his 6-yard area as Kennedy flies into the net as he tried to get there. A little bit too late though. He's eventually untangled himself, and it's Rangers who come away with it with Tavernier in a central area in the centre circle. Chip ball looking for Sakala. Header from Coulson finds Liam Scales, who rolls it to Shinnie, does well, but Duke didn't read it. Goes out for a Rangers throw-in, but level with the edge of the centre circle. And the Aberdeen half over on that north stand side. The Rangers right as Tavernier throws it short to Lundstrom and gets it back to the Rangers number 4. He finds Ben Davis in the centre circle, out to the left for Barisic. Looks as though there's going to be changes afoot for Rangers. Perhaps no surprise Jonathan Sutherland can tell us about them.
Thanks Liam. Yes, trackside here. Michael Beale in conversation with Scott Arfield and Kemar Roof have been warming up for the last 5 minutes or so, obviously given instructions to the both of them, so I would imagine we'll be seeing them on the pitch before too long.
Yeah, and I don't suppose you're too astonished by that, are you, Neil?
No, I'm not. I think he's got to shake it up a little bit just now. That was a little bit of evidence there from Morelos, just slack. He has a little look at his captain, Chip Tavernier, expecting to be there, but I don't think, he would have needed a Ducati 500 to go into that, and I'm not quite sure that Tavernier's got that, but it's only a matter of time. I just wonder how long that Roof's got in the tank, Liam. That's the other thing that might come into Mick Beale's thinking about giving Morelos another 10 minutes or so.
Well, given there could be extra time as well. As McCrory's header back into the Rangers half, controlled by Tillman. Shrugs off the challenge by Leighton Clarkson, but the referee says it's a foul by Clarkson. It's come off his hand. Free kick Rangers taken quickly by Lundstrom, left to right of the circle for Goldson, forward to Tillman. Tillman square ball for Jack. Jack then finds Kent on this near side. Barisic is on the touchline. Kent moves in field instead and moves it left to right of the circle for Goldson, who steps into Aberdeen territory. Goldson nicking it out to Lundstrom on that right hand side, forward to Sakala, then back to Goldson, who moves it forward to Kent. Desperate to get into the game, Ryan Kent. Switch of play out to the left for Barisic. He controls under no pressure. Moving it forward. Ramadani read it brilliantly as he stuck to Tillman. Slides in and puts it out for a Rangers throw-in level with the Aberdeen penalty spot. Barisic over this. And then he bowls it back to Jack. Midway inside the Aberdeen half. Forward to Sakala. Chinking away from Ramadani. Squaring it for Lundstrom. His pass forward cut out by Liam Scales though. Aberdeen sitting a little bit deeper here as it comes to Tavernier on that right hand side. It's a tactic that failed when they were leading 2-1 at Pittodrie last month. It's a tactic that failed against Celtic late on in the day, and here comes Morelos, a little bit last ditch. Morelos keeps it in play. Would have been a corner. Morelos moves it back out wide right. Lundstrom controls, crosses in with the right foot, and it comes all the way through out to the other side of the box for Barisic. Time to take a touch, crosses in, comes off Tavernier's head. McCrory gets it away, only as far as Kent. Casual, good pass to Jack, forward towards Tillman. Tillman though puts it out for a goal kick, and it stays Rangers 0, Aberdeen 1. Willie Miller, Aberdeen sitting so deep there. Rangers trying to weave their way through, but it stays Rangers 0, Aberdeen 1 on 57.
Yeah, they're trying to make it just too tight for Rangers to play the little passes, but it's a dangerous tactic to employ. I think they really need to be trying to push out to a certain point. They don't have to be up at the halfway line. I don't think you want that, but you want to see them pushing out to 18, pushing out maybe 25, trying to squeeze the game a little bit more. As Kel Roos gets a little bit of treatment down there. Don't know what happened to him there. I think maybe a twisted ankle, just trying to have a look at it.
The physio and the medics are having a look.
They've got
a decent goalie, to be fair.
Yeah, they have.
Joe Lewis, who hasn't actually seen any action this season, hasn't played since the goalless draw with St Mirren at Pittodrie at the tail end of last term. Still, we're waiting on Rangers making those changes. You can see down there that Roof and Arfield are being readied. Arfield was the hero of Pittodrie last month. 2 minutes shy of the hour mark here. Stoppage in play to allow attention to Kelleroos as these two fight for the right to face the holder Celtic in next month's final. Of course, the semis and final pushed back because of the World Cup. Normally we're getting the semis in November, the final in December. The League Cup a few years ago reverted back to the showpiece events, showpiece ties taking place in the autumn, late autumn and early winter. To come in midweek, plenty for you. Wednesday night, Celtic against St Mirren, Kilmarnock Rangers and Hearts Aberdeen, rescheduled games because of these semis. And then on Saturday, the fourth round of the Scottish Cup gets underway with Celtic Morton, 3 o'clock kick-off, St Johnstone Rangers at 5:30, Edinburgh Derby on the Sunday at Easter Road, and Darvel Aberdeen on the Monday evening. What a night that is for the West of Scotland Premier League side as they welcome the team who are currently sitting in the lead in this League Cup semi-final. Game on again. Roos is okay to continue for now. It's a long ball. It's out for an Aberdeen throw-in, which McCrory takes, putting it down the line. Comes off Barisic. He'd claimed the throw-in from McCrory. He'd gone over the line for a Rangers ball. It's an Aberdeen ball, and we're in the 60th minute. Rangers 0, Aberdeen 1. Still no sign of those substitutions being made yet. Johnny Hayes is getting some instructions from Craig Sampson as McCrory comes forward, runs into Lundstrom though. Now it's Jack, lovely flick by Kent. Here's Jack, plays it forward low for Morelos. Back to Ryan Jack now. His ball goes behind Tavernier. And Tavernier keeps it in play just about over on that far side and shifts it forward to Jack. The floodlights now beaming down on that Hampden surface, which has looked better, has to be said. So obviously taking some serious punishment. It's been so wet in the west of Scotland over the last month. Here's Malik Tillman down the left, getting it from Barisic, level with the 6-yard line. We've hit the hour. Corner Rangers off Ramadani. In fact, the goal kick's been given. It's come off Tillman last. Good spot by Nick Walsh.
Again, it's maybe just his style. Tillman, I think it is his style, that kind of a lazy approach to it. But when you're 1v1 there, I think you've got to show a little bit more determination to get by Ramadani. Ramadani picks him up, tracks him well, but he's still isolated, and I think he just takes it too close to him, gives him the opportunity. Yeah. But it's that lazy kind of approach to it.
Yeah, he does have that style. Well, he's not going to just burst somebody with pace like a Sakala kick and run. He wants to beat him with ability all the time.
Shinnie's header forward comes to Goldson, heads it towards Morelos. Aberdeen claim it came off Morelos' hand. The referee doesn't agree, and Rangers continue. Here's Kent on this left-hand side, slipping it infield to Jack. He's found Morelos. Morelos at the edge of the box, tees it up for Ryan Jack. It's deflected. It's in. It's the former Aberdeen captain.
like a little nick, doesn't it? On the way past Roos into the goal. You said about a handball away back. Is that still the same phase of play? If it was, did they gain an advantage from it? That'll be an interesting one if they check the goal. But nonetheless, when it comes up to Ryan Jack there, what about that little flick round the corner that he gives to Morelos? We're watching the replay here. He doesn't stop, he doesn't admire it. He gets on his way again to get to the edge of the box, and when it's rolled into his path, he tries to just smash it with the laces, and it was going the other side. It takes a wicked deflection, not a little one off of Liam Scales, and it finds the bottom corner.
Scales just tried to make himself look big there. You know, he throws out the left leg, it actually kind of hits his thigh underneath him, and deflects and gives Kel Roos no chance whatsoever. But brilliant play from Ryan Jack. Not noted for that kind of a burst going forward as Duke is off, I think. Duke is off the field.
It's double jeopardy for Aberdeen here because Duke is going to be replaced by Johnny Hayes. That's a double blow for Aberdeen.
Without doubt, but it's a very well worked goal, isn't it? With Kent first, and then Jack playing that little flick, little backheel flick to Morelos, and fair play to Morelos, he sets it up perfect for him. I don't know if Roos is going to save the initial shot. I think he's got a chance because it's maybe not the most accurate, most powerful strike, but it takes that deflection and he's got no chance.
This semi-finals back in the melting pot at 1-1, 62.5 on the clock. Our Rangers now in the ascendancy though. McCrory's long ball cut out by Morelos straight from centre. McCrory goes back to his keeper. Johnny Hayes on. I mean, he's an able replacement. He's not Duke, but he's obviously in the veteran stages of his career. But he is a man who's been over the course before. He's lost big games here. He's won big games here before. As Coulson fails to keep it in play. All about Rangers right now. 63 played 1-1.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan Jack takes a lot of stick in this fixture, doesn't he? From coming from up north to Glasgow, and he looked as if he really enjoyed that goal, But I know it was a huge slice of fortune, but it was so well made.
Sakala down the right hand side at the byline, keeps the ball in play, taking his time over it, rolls it to Tillman. Tillman just inside the Aberdeen box, right hand side of it. Lovely skill, shuffles away from one, drives it across, cut out by Hayes, who's just on, and then Coulson hooks it to safety. Relative safety because it's a Rangers throw-in level with the Aberdeen penalty spot over on the north stand side. The momentum clearly, Willie, is with Rangers now.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. And it's a test in time for Aberdeen. They've got to try and make sure that they keep that shape, that they keep the concentration going, because Rangers with their tail up, getting that equaliser as well, and you can see the confidence within them just in the edge of the box. They're taking their time, trying to just get the opportunity to open up that Aberdeen defence.
Aberdeen haven't really kicked a ball since the first half, and Scales clear has been a good opening 19 minutes for Rangers since the break as Davis moves it out to Barisic. It is one apiece though, still finely balanced. But here's Jack for Rangers, little back heel looking for Kent, goes straight to McCrory, who dinks it forward. Miovski gives chase, he's now back in the periphery of the game, and Davis gets there, heads it to Lundstrom, and now it's back with Connor Goldson. Goldson now across the halfway line. He had a lot of possession in that game at Pittodrie last month when his team was trailing 2-1. Aberdeen let him have the ball and he was getting up to the edge of the Aberdeen box plenty in that match. Sakala taking on Scales. Sakala goes down. The referee's not interested. He felt Sakala went down too easily there under the challenge of Hayes. Long Aberdeen clearance, header from Davis, finds Lundstrom in the Aberdeen half as Rangers settle back into possession. Here's Tillman being challenged by Shinnie.
Rangers are starting to puncture through the lines, Liam. Instead of going down the sides, they're going through the gaps now.
They've upped the tempo though. That's the thing they needed to do, and that's what they are doing. As Kent picks up wide on the right hand side of the Aberdeen box. He's on the right, he's on the left, now he's back on the right, drops the shoulder, chips it in, and Roos holds on at his near post. And on 65.5 it stays Rangers 1, Aberdeen 1. Aberdeen needs something to change here.
Well, they need to try and keep possession for a start. They need, any leaders who've got out there to take a little bit of responsibility and perhaps, try to affect this game, because, they're not getting any of the ball at all. They're not being able to get any respite whatsoever, and they need that because it's just constant pressure from Rangers, and the longer that happens and the more likely it is for them to switch off a little bit and the concentration to go.
Comes off, it looked like a hand of Ben Davis. Of course, Rangers were going to make the double change. That will not be happening now. Arfield and Roofe, as soon as Jack's effort deflected into Kelly Roos's net, the two subs were told to sit back down. 66 played, one apiece.
Yeah, I think what Aberdeen need to do here, Willie, is just regain composure, isn't it? And just, I mean, it's level pegging.
Miovski to Ross McCrory. He's at the edge of the area. He shoots. It's deflected as well, but this time it's wide of the left-hand post. The former Ranger for Aberdeen this time. It was the other way around up the other end, but McCrory didn't have the luck that Jack did, and it stays Rangers 1, Aberdeen 1.
You know, that's a good example. That's a good example of Ross McCrory, defender, not just wanting to sit back there and allow Rangers to constantly, you know,
taking responsibility.
Taking that responsibility, driving it at defenders, you know, being able to affect the game, being able to put some input into it to get Aberdeen from that really deep defensive situation to actually, you know, putting Rangers defence under a bit of pressure.
Kennedy to take this corner from that left-hand side, whips it into the box, scales is up, and then it breaks down onto the 6-yard line. 2 bites at it did Clarkson have, both blocked as it comes back towards the 6. Goldson gets it half away. Anthony Stewart for Aberdeen, picking up right-hand side of the box. He's an effective winger here, Anthony Stewart. I haven't seen him play there before. He gets the break of the ball. Low ball back across. Cut out by Davis. And Rangers clear. 67 played. 1 apiece at Hampden. Anyone's game. It is Kent for Tillman, as he has it nicked off by Shinnie and out for a throw into Rangers on this near side.
The big man was like a giraffe on ice skates there, wasn't he? But I don't know what he did, but it was quite effective. And he was providing a real threat to Rangers into the penalty box.
Well, someone's in trouble.
Area,
I think it's Craig Sampson. It's the Aberdeen goalkeeper coach has been yellow carded. He of course kept goal for Jim Goodwin St Mirren 10 years ago next month in their League Cup success. Still St Mirren's only League Cup victory. As Barisic level the edge of the centre circle in his own half, pulls it forward from the throw up the line for Morelos, who loses out, and Kennedy picks up Clarkson, plays it off Barisic and out for a throw-in. It's a calmer last few minutes for Aberdeen because they were seriously under the cosh there. It was to the concession of 1 goal. They do not want to be going behind in quick succession to losing that goal to Ryan Jack 6 minutes ago. And 1 apiece. Jim Goodwin is out there talking to his players, talking them through the match. Big game for him, you feel, as he's been coming under the cosh up in Aberdeen recently. If he wins this, he buys himself a heck of a lot of credit. Loses it, he's got Hearts at Tynecastle on Wednesday. Darvel in the Cup the following Monday. That's a yellow card all day long for Ross McCrory. He's gone in late, it is a yellow, and he's dived in, and I think the Rangers supporters are howling for a red here for Ross McCrory. He has been yellowed, but of course VAR, this is a decision that they can potentially get Nick Walsh to reconsider if they feel it's worthy of a red.
It was some swipe he gives them, you know.
I think it's rash, isn't it? And you know, there is a bit of intent there. I think it's a yellow card. I don't think it's a red. You know, I don't think that you know, there's enough in it. You know, it's not a straight leg. It's not, you know, something that's going to, I don't think, injure a player. It's rash. It's physical. A yellow card's enough in my book.
It's one of those yellows all day long, isn't it? As Goldson picks up. Speaking of form, that the Aberdeen sub-goalie, former captain Joe Lewis, is doing a little warm-up just now. Kelly Roos, of course, was down injured before Rangers equalised. But in the 70th minute, deep into the 70th minute, Rangers 1, Aberdeen 1. Remember, Rangers just 1 win in their last 6 League Cup semi-finals since they last won it under Walter Smith in 2011. That extra time win over Celtic, Nikita Jelavic scoring the only goal, or the only goal of the extra time period after Stephen Davis had given Rangers the lead earlier in the match.
I think they've taken the sting out of Rangers after their equaliser, haven't they, Aberdeen? They've just settled the game down a bit again.
They've got a better line at the back as well, you know. It's maybe 25 yards out rather than that deep hanging on line that they go into the penalty box. They've got to try and make sure that they are trying to push it up and not keeping the game compact, not giving Rangers the room to thread passes through them.
The thing is, Willie, if you're going to play that deep lie, then you've got to be a good defending team, and Aberdeen are not a good defending team. They certainly haven't been for the last couple of seasons.
No, but even if you are a good defending team, I don't think it's the right tactics to employ. I think you've still got to try and squeeze the game whenever you get the opportunity. Obviously, there are occasions where you get pushed back into your box by the play of the opposition, but I think at times Aberdeen just volunteer to go back there. But you see the line just now; it's pretty high. I think it's the right way to go about it. Obviously, Jim Goodwin, you would think would have spoken about that after the last game at Pittodrie against Rangers.
We're going to get to Jonathan with news of an Aberdeen change in a moment. Kemar Roof is down there for Rangers as well, so that might well be happening soon. We thought that last time, of course, as Leighton Clarkson picks up. I'll get to Johners as soon as we get a stoppage in play. It's Coulson with a pumping ball into the box. Miovski's managed to hit it. Opportunity here for Kennedy, turns it back to the edge of the area, off the post, and Kennedy on the follow-up puts it out to the right-hand side of the area, but you would think a flag would have gone up. Kennedy has it again, and he rifles it past. Now the flag does go up, and it was offside for the previous incident with Matty Kennedy. He's holding his head in his hands. Leighton Clarkson's effort bouncing off Alan McGregor's right-hand post, and it stays 1-1. Both teams have hit the woodwork now.
Alan McGregor's rooted, absolutely rooted. I think it
wouldn't have counted anyway. Kennedy was offside
back
initially.
Yeah, they've been dragged back, but still it was a great effort, wasn't it? Alan McGregor was a spectator, really.
He was. But if you look at Miovski, who sets it up again, that's the type of player he is. He'll drift off the back of his marker, and he just got a little pocket of space here for the cross coming in and the header down to set up the chance.
Jonathan Sutherland's going to be busy. Speak to us, Jonathan.
Liam, there's going to be one change for Aberdeen, and Conor Barron will be entering the field of play. Not sure quite yet who's coming off. Two changes for Rangers as well. Kemar Roof is going to enter the fray, and so too is Glenn Kamara. Once this injury gets out of the way, we'll find out which players are coming off.
Indeed we will. And Kemar Roof has been frustrated best part of a year, really. Of course, tail end of last season he missed as well, and he will come on just his fourth appearance of the campaign. The other change, Kamara on for Tillman, and Roof, is it Morelos? Morelos is coming over, shoulder slumped.
It is
he walks indeed over, and the man who set up Jack for that equaliser, and he's replaced by Roof. And the Aberdeen change, Leighton Clarkson, who just hit the post a moment ago, not that it would have counted. He'll be replaced by Barron. He's taken a heavy knock.
Oh, it was cramp or not, Liam, that he's got.
They'd probably rather that then, wouldn't they?
Cramp, it's cramp.
He says he's staying at Aberdeen for the rest of the season. He's on loan from Liverpool. There are interested teams in the English Championship who want him, and you can see the quality he's got. Leighton Clarkson scored a great goal against Rangers last month in that game just before Christmas, and just hit the post a moment ago, but Kennedy was in an offside position. It was actually just after he hit that he's gone down needing attention. Play was raging on when he did so, and Aberdeen will hope it's not serious and he'll be back, because they've got some big games coming up. This is a huge one, obviously. Conor Barron comes on. His future is very uncertain right now. Aberdeen have a deal on the table for him, but yet to be signed. It's not often you see players sign if it's gone on that long. We shall see as Scales puts it out for a Rangers throw-in level with the Aberdeen 6-yard line over on that far side. One apiece then, but we're getting to the point where it does get nervy. The final 15 minutes just about of the 90. Will there be extra time? Will there be penalties? Here is Kamara's first touch, middle of the pitch, rolls it out to Barisic on this left-hand side. Down the line for Roof, who's just on as well. Level with the 6-yard line, up against Stewart. Down to the byline, plays it off Stewart with a cross. Roof gets it back, turns it to Barisic. Barisic up against McCrory, he's done very well. He's actually had a good game, Ross McCrory, and he's won a free kick down in this near side off Barisic. Rangers 1, Aberdeen 1. Very intriguing final 15 minutes here at Hampden now.
It's in the balance, isn't it? You see what Aberdeen can do on a break as well, and although Matty Kennedy was in an offside position, he still makes up a lot of ground to get into that situation, and unfortunately Clarkson going off, very fine player, but Conor Barron decent as well. He's maybe lost that form that he had early part of the season, the end of last season as well, but I think there's a lot going on in his mind just now and in his life generally, but he is a talent.
He's lost out to Lundstrom though over on the far side. The Rangers player turns away from him and finds Tavernier. Long ball Tavernier, Sakala running into space, Scales is the covering player, and the on loan Selt gets it clear. Kent couldn't control Barron's header, goes straight to Jack though. Right to that right hand side. Jack picks it up, getting it back from Lundstrom. Forward it comes to Tavernier, back onto the chest of Kent, and then to Lundstrom. As we were before kick-off, Rangers favourites right now. They look the more likely, you would have to say. Yeah,
I'm just looking to see what McBeal has done with the tactics in terms of his personality. He's changed. He looks like a straight up two with the Roof and Sakala, and I think he's given Ryan Kent like a little 10 roll with three central midfielders of Kamara, Lundstrom and Ryan Jack there, so it's pretty solid across the middle, but trying to get Kent into a little operating space behind two strikers.
4-3-1-2.
As
it's moved by Kent out to Barisic on the near side. Great ball. Can Barisic match it with the cross? And it comes too high for Tavernier, who was rising, scored a header against Aberdeen in the match at Ibrox this season, kept him play on the far side, but Hayes wins it for Aberdeen, gives it away, and now it's Lundstrom in the middle of the pitch, rolling out to Barisic on this near side. Just about in 77 minutes. One apiece. Brilliant pass. Ball. Kamara for Barisic. His cross is blocked by McCrory at the expense of a Rangers corner. Barisic trying to get the Rangers fans going. 13 of the 90 left. One apiece.
Sorry, Liam, McCrory did really well there to get back on the ground. I felt he'd lost to Barisic. Beautiful pass from Kamara. Well weighted, but he did. He got back there, Ross McCrory. It was a crucial block.
He looked done, didn't he?
He did, yes.
I think he's looked pretty good at right back. Ross McCrory recently played a full season there on loan from Rangers at Portsmouth a few years ago. Tavernier, meantime, with the Rangers corner into the box. It comes, and it's just gone wide there as it bounced on the 6-yard line. I'm not sure he got the final. It's obviously a Rangers player because it's a goal kick. But it dropped actually, Tim, in a great position. It was pretty congested, you would have to say. I think it's Goldson's got a touch on it, and it's come off Davis's knee.
Yeah, he just couldn't get the hip up high enough to get the boot onto it. Comes off his knee shin area, but it was Goldson going across the front post. But getting to this stage of the game, this is where it starts to get a bit twitchy for both teams.
Piece of brilliance or a mistake.
You hear some people say it's worse losing a semi than it is a final. I'm not sure if that's true. You guys can tell me. Is it?
Both, actually.
Both as bad as each other, fair enough. Sakala trying to get on a pass, too much on it, goal kick.
Yeah, I think a final is the one that really does you in, because you know you do have your hand in the cup, don't you? You have your hand in the trophy. I think semis you can take, but it's usually disappointing getting to a semi and not having the atmosphere of the final, but you know, getting beat in the final just rips the heart out of you.
Aye, that doesn't feel good, boy.
Belarus will take this goal kick. Of course, these two to my right won plenty finals as well to make up for any disappointments they may have had in their illustrious careers. Sports Sound, BBC Radio Scotland across the frequencies, on digital, online at bbc.co.uk/sportscotland. BBC Radio Scotland extra on your smart speaker. The final 11 minutes of the 90 at Hampden in the second of the League Cup semis. Celtic lie in wait. It's 1-1 between Rangers and Aberdeen, and it's Kennedy for Aberdeen who are up the pitch here. Level with the edge of the D of the Rangers box. He's got a lot to do here. He runs into Barisic, but he's done well. He's won a throw-in off Borna Barisic, level with the Rangers penalty spot down the Aberdeen right here on this near side, right in front of their supporters. Taken there by McCrory to Kennedy, back to McCrory, crossed in. Tavernier calmly chests it back under pressure from Hayes to Alan McGregor, and it stays Rangers 1, Aberdeen 1 as we approach the closing 10 minutes of the regulation 90 here under the lights at Hampden. And it's Ben Davis who moves it out to that right hand side for Jack, the Rangers goal scorer, the man the Aberdeen fans love to hate. A lot of them didn't want him to feature in that Scottish Cup final. He had the captaincy taken off him by Derek McInnes. Graham Shinney got the captaincy latterly that season, and became obvious Jack wasn't going to be staying at Pittodrie, and Ibrox was the mooted arrival point for him, and indeed that's where he went. As Jack picks up, and he's driven a dagger into the Aberdeen fans' hearts today with that equalising goal, because now Rangers, the seesaw has gone their way, as it has for big spells in this match. Perhaps actually created more opportunities in the first half than they have in the second. Aberdeen, apart from that Clarkson effort, which would have been ruled out for offside, and barely threatened Alan McGregor's goal in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, I think over the piece that Rangers have been a better team, but it's still very, very poised, isn't it? You know, and anything can happen.
Here's Kent in the box, almost got it through to Roof. Good block there by Scales, who's had a very good afternoon, you would have to say. They would miss him in any prospective final for Aberdeen, as Lundstrom picks up and switches it out to Barisic. They need to pull Aberdeen from left to right, something they weren't doing in the first half, Rangers. Here's Kamara, back to Sakala, thought about the shot, does shoot, blocked by Stewart, breaks to Tavernier, and his efforts blocked as well by Coulson this time. Stays 1-1. Rangers banging on the door here.
Determined to get it onto his right foot, wasn't he? It sort of sat up for his left, Tavernier, but he didn't fancy it. And then when he got it onto the right, it was snuffed out quickly.
Kent forward to Kamara on the 18-yard line, rolls it to Sakala. First time out wide left for Barisic, looks up, time to take a touch, crosses in. Stewart was waiting for it, Sakala got there first and he goes behind. Goal kick only though for Aberdeen. It's one apiece, 81.5 on the clock. Rangers want this done in 90.
Yeah, it's a big chance. Does he not just take the chance with the left foot?
Yeah, possibly. Just watching a rerun there, he just wanted it down to be pretty sure that it was going to come onto a stronger side for him. But you know as well as I do, in the penalty box, you've not got that luxury of time.
His goal-scoring record against Aberdeen's ridiculous. He scored 12 times against the Dons.
Yeah,
a lot of them are penalties, to be fair, and if you're the penalty taker, you have every chance, but shows you how many penalties Aberdeen have conceded against Rangers in recent years. As Roof beats Scales to it, he's out of play on this near side, but I think there's a head knock down below us for one of the Aberdeen players. They've had a few bumps and knocks today, the men in red.
Ramadani, is it?
Yeah. He's another important player for Aberdeen. There's this really important 3 games coming up after this one. They've got 2 visits to Edinburgh either side of that Scottish Cup tie at Darvel.
He gets one right off the temple.
It's Anthony Stewart, isn't it?
Yeah.
He just clears it, mate. Hits him right.
Thanks for that, Skip.
Yeah.
He's still down, Ramadani, and obviously they can't take any chances with head knocks.
They'll be doing the concussion checks on him, won't they? Asking for his PIN code for his bank card there.
Well, they have made a couple of changes already. Aberdeen, Hayes came on for Duke, and they brought Barron on for Clarkson. 2 go-to players for Aberdeen, you would have to say, as far as goal scoring is concerned. So that's, losing those 2 is a big enough blow. Ramadani is the latest to receive treatment. Kelarus, the goalkeeper, did earlier as well. Bojan Mijovski down there, the Aberdeen goal scorers, barely got a touch in the second half. 83.5, so it's going to be a substantial chunk of injury time bolted on to the 90 minutes here. There might well be another 30 minutes to play after that as well. Ramadani begins to sit back up.
Yeah, that's good.
If it goes to extra time, there's an extra substitution moment for Jim Goodwin if he has to be forced into a change, because I don't necessarily think he'd want to bring on someone else for the sake of it.
I mean, it's quite an extensive check he is getting, right enough, isn't it, Liam? The ball must have caught him right behind the ear there. Maybe just knocked him.
Yeah, they are doing the test. They are doing the tests just now.
Yeah.
And if he fails one of them, he's off. And the Albania international just getting back to his feet right now. Let's see, we'll have to take him off initially anyway. Over the touchline on this near side. So Aberdeen will be down to 10 for a little bit here. And apologies for any language you're offended by that you might well be hearing in the background. And some people don't have much sympathy for Ilber Ramadani's head injury.
Yeah, he seems fine.
He's going to be able to continue.
Yeah, I think the doctor here, I mean, he's the one that keeps standing in front of him.
Yeah, he is.
He's almost determined that he doesn't go back on the pitch, it was looking like, isn't it, Willie?
It certainly looked that way, but I suppose you've got to make sure that the players' well-being is taken into consideration.
85 played Aberdeen on the attack. Hayes has it at the edge of the Rangers box, gets his cross in, but it's right through to McGregor, who holds on comfortably. Final 5 of the 90. I think there'll be 5 or 6 added on top of that.
Yeah, well, there's a few there, wasn't there, for Ramadani, so yeah, plenty of football still to be played.
Could be a late one. Just beyond 4:45. As Kent goes back to Ben Davis, and now it's with Goldson. Rangers were in the ascendancy again just before that Ramadani injury. They'll try and go up the gears again here. Lundstrom back to Jack, who sweeps it right to left of the centre circle for Davis. In the Aberdeen half, and out to Barisic on the near side. Barisic with a little ball into Kamara, forward to Sakala, now it's with Kent, back to Sakala, back into the midfield for Lundstrom. Good possession football by Rangers, been a good second half from them. Tavernier picks up on the right, swings the ball in, Sakala can't get there, Stewart didn't do very well either, but Aberdeen have managed to get it clear. Jack picks up the scraps and rolls it out wide right for Tavernier again, up against Coulson. Tavernier back to Jack, square ball for John Lundstrom again, 4 to play of the 90, one apiece, poor ball by Lundstrom this time. Straight to Kennedy, and then Kennedy is unceremoniously hauled to the ground there by Barisic, who's yellow carded, and it stays Rangers 1, Aberdeen 1.
It's a poor pass, isn't it, from Lundstrom? You know, it's a real lazy pass. Puts his team in major issues there, and Barisic has to, well, I suppose he reckons he has to take out Kennedy. There's no doubt that it's a free kick and a yellow card.
Yeah, Kennedy was starting to motor, wasn't he? Pick up pace. Barisic obviously didn't fancy the run home, and he took the right decision, in my opinion. You know, you want to stop an attack as a defender, because you know you just can't get there.
It's heavy going out there as well, isn't it?
The pitch is shocking, Willie. Up here, I mean, it's almost like channels of mud.
Yep. Just explain how much more difficult it is, how tiring it is to play a game of football on that kind of surface.
It really saps your energy, Liam, and what you get is if you're trying to pick up pace quickly, you're almost wheel spinning, and it puts a lot of tension through your legs that you tire very, very quickly on this type of pitch in comparison to a real solid surface.
Yeah, trying to haul the studs out of the mud constantly. Here's Barisic for Rangers, midway inside the Aberdeen half. He's rolled it to Roof, 87.5 on the clock at 1-1. Roof to Barisic. Every passing second extra time becomes more likely, but here comes Rangers with Kent, who's claiming he was fouled there. The referee, Nick Walsh, isn't interested. Ramadani with the challenge. It's Graham Shinney who runs into Lundstrom. He wins it back for Rangers. He too's had a good second half, John Lundstrom. And then there's a foul by Kennedy and Barisic. That is what you call retribution. And Kennedy's yellow carded. And that is a free kick to Rangers about midway inside the Aberdeen half over on this main stand.
Miller's chuckling away here. He loves that type of behaviour, doesn't he?
Well,
have some of that back.
You know, he asked for it, hasn't he? So he's put the boot into Kennedy, and I think you're allowed a little bit of retribution in a game of football. I don't think it does any harm whatsoever.
They won't be doing it again.
No, both carded now.
Yeah. In the 89th minute of the match, Celtic still don't know who they will be facing in next month's final. Here is Glenn Kamara for Rangers. Forward to the edge of the Aberdeen box, Sakala, first time out wide left for Barisic, on the right foot this time. His cross, the weaker foot, breaks Kamara's way. Now it's with Lundstrom. Square to Jack, out to Tavernier. Level with the edge of the D of the Aberdeen box. Comes back to Ryan Jack now. It's a little misunderstanding with Tavernier, but Tavernier's managed to keep it in play. Gets there ahead of Coulson, turns it back to Jack, heading towards minute 90. It's Rangers looking for a way through as they look to try and win it in normal time. It's back with Goldson now on the halfway line. Right to left of the circle for Davis. Again, Aberdeen sitting off Rangers. It's a long ball. Sakala chests it down to Roof, who couldn't quite get it past Coulson. And now Graham Shinney picks it up for Aberdeen down that left-hand side. He's trying to keep in. He hasn't managed that. It's a Rangers throw-in right in front of the north stand over there, which is packed with Rangers fans, as 75% of the stadium is.
He maybe could have cut that one to Majowski. Majowski made a really good run, I felt.
Yeah.
You know, and it was an opportunity for Shinney to do that. He didn't.
Here's Jack. The Rangers of the late showing them again against Aberdeen, as they did at Pittodrie. Tavernier for Lundstrom, rolls at the edge of the box. Roof gives it back to Lundstrom, who shoots straight at Roos, who holds on, and it stays Rangers 1, Aberdeen 1. He didn't really catch it, John Lundstrom, as he would have liked there, albeit he puts it to the other side of the goal. He might well have won this semi-final for Rangers.
Yeah, really well worked though. Just pumps it in with the left, goes round, and he probably fancied that, you know, but it was maybe
8 minutes added.
Maybe just on the outside of his range to really connect well with it. Comfortable in the end for Roos.
Good burst of pace though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Different tempo to it, you know. Little 1-2.
It's good play by Johnny Hayes in the midfield. Rolls it out to McCrory within the first of 8 minutes of injury time then. One apiece. Kennedy, right hand side, crosses in. Mijowski's too high for him. It'll break Hayes' way. He's unchallenged at the moment. Tavernier gets out to him now. Hayes rolls it in field to Mijowski. Little back heel. Aberdeen trying to get in here, and it's fired across the face of goal by Barron. And out for a throw-in on this near side. Connor Barron's appealing for something. He's got his arms outstretched, but it's a Rangers throw-in on this near side. Little bit of a tight angle for Barron to try and score from there, but it's a chance.
It was. I'm just waiting in the net rippling there. I thought he'd smashed it like Majowski's finish, tight angle, just high past Alan McGregor, but I mean, it actually goes behind Alan McGregor. It's unbelievable with the bend on it. It's taken it away from the goal.
It's a curl, isn't it?
Barron for Aberdeen again, and this time he shoots over the crossbar. Need Hayes and Majowski waiting in the middle. So it's Aberdeen threatening in the injury time. The 8 minutes that were added were into the second of those 8 minutes, so we're 7 minutes away from extra time at the National Stadium. 1-1.
But the initial cross into the box, again, it's Majowski. And Golson's an experienced player. I think he should be picking him up. I think he should understand where Majowski's going to go there. He didn't, and it was just a little bit too high for him. Otherwise he's got a header and goal.
Aberdeen are going to go to their bench. I'm loath to go to Jonathan right now in case something happens. Rangers have the ball in the midfield, just on the halfway line with Jack. Lundstrom back to Jack. It's away from Barron. I can tell you that Christian Ramirez has been readied for Aberdeen, their second top scorer last season, behind Lewis Ferguson. Here goes Sakala down this left-hand side.
Wow.
And Sakala.
Wow.
Nick Walsh goes to the pocket and sends off Anthony Stewart. Aberdeen are down to 10 men. The challenge from Stewart, too robust for Nick Walsh's liking. And Aberdeen are down to 10, 1-1.
Does he slip, Liam? That's the question that I would like to pose towards VAR, because of course they'll check it. It's a straight red, but he's super aggressive, and I'm not quite sure why he's needing to do that. He's committed already, well, he isn't. He's just going to go hard. He's going to go fat. Oh no, he's not slipped. That's a straight red all day. Sorry. I mean, the big man's looked. I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, but I've just watched it. That's red. Every season of your life, son.
How rash is that? And he's got no need to make that challenge.
I'll tell you what, Sakala's a very lucky boy. He's not got a real bad injury there.
Nowhere near the ball.
Terrible challenge from the Aberdeen skipper, who's let his team down up for the first time this season. Sent off at St Mirren. And when Aberdeen have lost a man to a red card this season, they have collapsed like a house of cards. And it's another red card for Anthony Stewart, and Rangers have a free kick level with the Don 6-yard line. Big task for the Aberdeen now.
I honestly, I can't fly them out. I was trying to make a case from there, but in the added time, Sakala's in the wide position. Instead of just put the brakes on and jockeying him.
Yeah, just calm things down and see it out.
It's a shocker, and it's a Rangers free kick, which is taken by, well, it's going to be taken by Tavernier, but Nick Walsh is having to settle something down in the box. Doesn't take much to light the blue touch paper in this fixture at the best of times, but this is injury time in a League Cup semi, and Anthony Stewart has just sold his team down the river potentially now, and it's an opportunity here for Tavernier to take the free kick into the box, flicked half away by Coulson. Lundstrom calmly nods it towards Davis and then headed away by Coulson. And Lundstrom goes back to Jack. There'll be more time added on in this now. He played 4 of 8. I'd imagine there'll be more on top of that. Here's Sakala, who's moving freely. Rolls it to Kamara, right-hand side of the box. A low ball cut back. Barisic winds up the shot. It's not great, but he's found Tavernier. That was fortunate. Here's Lundstrom. Out to Barisic, left angle of the box. Now he's level with the 6. A good challenge by Kennedy. It's come off Barisic last, and that's a goal kick to Aberdeen, and it stays Rangers 1, Aberdeen 1. We played 4.5 of 8 minutes of injury time at the end of the game here, but clearly with an extra 30 minutes to come, Rangers are big favourites now.
You got to say that, Liam, and you've got a captain who you want to lead by example, and he finds himself in a situation where he's really just got to use his experience. He's an experienced player. He knows that he's getting towards the end of the game. He just has to make sure that he does everything right. Instead of that, he just dives into a challenge. I mean, it's everything that's wrong in terms of the new rule. In fact, in the old rules, it's an order and off. So, it's nothing new in football. You put one in like that, you're going to get a red card.
That's a red card in Aussie rules, never mind any rules, probably. It's just... Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, it's starting to bubble up nice now. The Scales is talking about he's been elbowed. Is it Ryan Jack has got involved there? He's holding his face.
I think it was Kent that was a challenge with, or he ran into. I don't know. You maybe have to see it a little bit. I don't think. I've just had a quick look at it. I think it's a bit of an accidental
coming together.
Collision, yeah.
1-1 Aberdeen free kick. Liam Scales is over. 5.5 of 8 minutes have been played.
Well, Aberdeen have shuffled a little bit. They brought McCrory into the right centre back, and Kennedy's gone to right back, so it's a 4-4-1 for them now.
They were down to 10 when Scales was controversially ordered off at Easter Road. They were down to 10 at St Mirren Park. They lost 3-1 on both occasions. Bouncing, bobbling ball for Roos. He gets rid of it. That could have gone horribly wrong for the Dutch goalkeeper. Up into the air from Ramadani. Bouncing. Goldson eventually gets his head onto it and finds Tavernier.
Lost in the floodlights, I think.
Straight to Shinnie. Aberdeen might have a look at this last few minutes, and this is their best chance of winning the game right now, because as Shinnie overhits a pass to Hayes, they've only got a few minutes left here, but an extra 30 minutes on that surface down there is going to be as energy sapping as it gets, particularly if they're going to be chasing shadows.
It's a pure surface to pass the ball and control it as well.
There's Tavernier for Rangers down that right hand side, driving towards the Aberdeen box. Rangers looking to finish Aberdeen off in injury time as they did at Pittodrie last month. Barisic level with 18, it's one apiece. Deep in second half stoppage time. No Scott Arfield for Rangers at the moment, though. He remains on the bench as Lundstrom rolls it into Goldson. Rangers score now. Anyone scores now, they're into the final. It's Tavernier wide in the right, crosses in, Ramadani gets it away, only as far as Kent takes a touch, hits it with the left, and he puts it wide of the left hand post, and it stays Rangers 1, Aberdeen 1 in the final minute of the allotted 8 of injury time that Nick Walsh added on at the end. Rangers 1, 10-man Aberdeen 1.
Not quite sure how close it was. It looked close from up here. We've got a good view of the replay. He cuts across it with his left foot. I mean, it's a wicked bit of swerve on it. It starts inside the post and eventually it's maybe a yard past. I think Aberdeen will be just trying to play down the clock. I know you're saying it's the best opportunity maybe to win it in this, because
from open play, certainly, Neil.
Yes, yeah, I think you're right in that, but I think they maybe want to come in. I think the manager will be desperate for the whistle to go, just to get the troops in. Jim Goodwin I'm talking about, get them in, get a bit of structure about them, a bit of organisation, because they're going to be against it here for it.
It's not. It's obviously, we've seen it time and again where 10 men have overcome 11. We saw even this season Motherwell 2-0 up against Kilmarnock, who went down to 10 and they finished 2 each in that game, as Miovski's caught by Goldson, who becomes the latest yellow card recipient. Rangers 1, Aberdeen 1. We've played the 8 minutes, so we're now into the time added on by Nick Walsh, the length of time he had to deal with the red card for Anthony Stewart.
The pitch is horrible, though. I mean, that pass into, I think it was Lundstrom, wasn't it? Just takes a wicked bounce up, and then it puts, gives Miovski the opportunity, and Golson's uncertain whether to go or not. He goes in, he gets a yellow card, but it's all down to the pitch. The pitch is in poor condition.
Goldson joins Barisic in Nick Walsh's book. Long ball from Scales from the free kick, comes off the head of Tavernier, and that's it. Extra time at Hampden. Michael Beale turns away from the pitch. Better situation than it was for him at half-time when Aberdeen led through that Miovski goal. Sakala hit the post. Ryan Jack cancelling out the Miovski goal, though. Deflected it was. It was very, very fortunate. He got it just beyond the hour mark. But that big moment, a game-defining moment, you feel, as the Aberdeen captain Anthony Stewart let down his entire team, he let down his manager, let down his club, as he went scything brutally into Fashion Sakala, out wide as well. There was no need for the rashness of the challenge, but he made it. And as we go into extra time, Aberdeen have a heck of a lot to do. They led this one, but it is 1-1 and they're down to 10. Rangers 1, Aberdeen 1 after 90.
The 2 sets of coaching, medical and backup staffs out there in the technical areas. 1 or 2 of the players are down, getting the rubs. Certainly Kellen Roos is getting a bit of treatment. He of course had the injury scare earlier in the second half. I think there's Barisic is down there. He always looks like he's out in his feet anyway. He's getting a bit of treatment. Certainly from the Rangers medical staff. A lot of the players taking on the fluids as well, and of course the fans just taking a bit of a breather too. It has been 100%. It's been excitement, it's been action, it has been absolutely engrossing, and it looks like Anthony Stewart, having made plenty of headlines before the game, might be making a few after the game as well, because unless Aberdeen can pull off something of a miracle, Tom English, this is going to be a very, very tough extra time period for them, you imagine.
Yeah, on this pitch which the lads have been talking about, it's a ploughed field now. They're up against it big style, and the captain has let them down. Glad Sakala's all right, because it was a horrible tackle. Now that we know that he is okay, I could describe it as a hilariously bad tackle, because it's just, he has lost the place entirely. I mean, it's extraordinary.
It's beyond belief. One of my friends texted said she just burst out laughing when she saw it, because it was just.
It's the reddest of red cards you will ever see in your life. It's almost like he's had this kind of demon in his head. I must destroy Sakala, and he's just piled in there without any appreciation of where he was, what kind of significance this match has. He just ploughed in there. You look at it again.
You can't make a case for him. I know at first I was thinking, did he slip there? Because it happened so quick, but when you watch it, Tom,
it's actually one that looks even quicker in slow motion.
It looked worse, and they always do. But it was a close your eyes moment when you're watching that, because like you, Tom, I'm not quite sure how Sakala's come out of that. Looking like he's unscathed.
Yeah. It's like, look, it is kind of intoxicating in a real kind of grim way. It's a desperate battle. There's mistakes all over the place. There's no composure. There's bodies on the line. There's a red card. There's bad tackles. There's a guy down getting treatment for 3 or 4 minutes from a shot from his own player. Smashes off the side of his head. It's just chaotic.
That was Stuart as well, actually.
What's not to like, Tom?
It's a demolition derby, isn't it?
Exactly.
We're going to see some changes as extra time arrives. Scott Wright will be arriving for Rangers, and Christian Ramirez will be arriving for Aberdeen. The players just getting themselves sorted out down on the side of the pitch there. The players, the rest of them back out on there. Nick Walsh, the referee, is there. We're just everybody settling back down. Will it be decided in the next 30 minutes? Stay tuned. Sports Sound, BBC Radio Scotland. Live commentary. It's Rangers 1, Aberdeen 1. As we rejoin Neil McCann, Willie Miller and Liam McLeod.
Scott Wright got Rangers' second goal in that Scottish Cup final. He's replacing John Lundstrom for extra time. Christian Ramirez will replace Bojan Mijovski. Well, 2 people right now who'll be rubbing their hands are Derek McInnes and Robbie Nielsen. Kilmarnock and Hearts taking on Rangers and Aberdeen respectively in the week. Perhaps more so Robbie Nielsen, given Aberdeen are down to 10 men for this extra 30 minutes that's been foisted upon them by that Ryan Jack equaliser. Christian Ramirez on for what could well and seems to be likely to be his final appearance for Aberdeen, albeit they've got a congested fixture list. Perhaps it's something that could be put on ice for the rest of the month. We'll wait and see. But Ramirez, who for the first half of last season was Stephen Glass's go-to man for goals, they've dried up considerably since then, albeit his 3 goals this season have all come in this competition in the group stage against lower league opposition. Scott Wright, former Aberdeen player, comes on, and Aberdeen will kick off the first period of extra time, down to 10, going right to left as we watch from the main south stand, attacking the Mount Florida end, with Rangers in the blue and white, Aberdeen the red and white, Rangers going left to right towards the east stand. Nick Walsh, the referee, just about ready to go. Rangers heavy duty favourites right now. Man advantage, the better team when it was 11 against 11, and now they've got that extra bit of space to work with. Nick Walsh is having to come over to this near side touchline for some reason. I'm not sure exactly what's going on, but there's a confab going on involving the 4th official Ewan Anderson and another SFA official down there. Nick Walsh, I think, he's got something to sort out himself. I'm not sure. It's perhaps the communication not working.
His buzzer's got cramp.
Well, Jim Goodwin doesn't, because he's just jogged up the tunnel for some reason as well.
Johnny Hayes is having a wee joke with him as well. He's just standing there.
Well, it just adds to everything, doesn't it? Adds to the nervous tension that I'm sure will still, even though Rangers have an extra player for this extra time, it's still going to be a nervy 30 minutes, unless of course they get an early goal in the extra period. But there's obviously an issue with Nick Walsh's technology here. That's what's causing the problem, and it's causing a delay. So talk amongst yourselves. I can remind you of the big games coming up in midweek on Sports Sound on Wednesday. In fact, they're going over at the VAR unit down in the tunnel there, so I don't know if there's a problem with that. There's a few people down there with hands to ears trying to work out what's going on. Anyway, Wednesday, Celtic St Mirren, Kilmarnock Rangers, Hearts Aberdeen. That Killie Rangers game's an 8 o'clock kick-off. The other two are 7:45. We will, of course, have those matches well covered for you on Wednesday evening. Then on Saturday, the 4th round of the Scottish Cup gets underway. Always an eagerly anticipated weekend. Celtic Morton gets it kicked off at 12:15 in this very city. 12 3 o'clock kickoffs. St Johnstone Rangers at 5:30. Hibs Hearts 2 p.m. Sunday. And on Monday evening at 7:45 it's Darvel Aberdeen. That Celtic and Darvel matches both live on BBC television as well. Aberdeen kick off the first period of extra time. Nick Walsh has got things sorted, and the long ball, as they did at the start of the match, goes straight into touch for a throw into Rangers level with their own 18-yard line on this near side. There's certainly plenty of momentum in Rangers' favour right now as they begin this extra time first period. And it's played out to Barisic on the far side, and Kent moves it back. Well, is it simple as Aberdeen now try and look for penalties? Try and find a way to a penalty shootout here?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you get an opportunity to get yourself up the park, then you obviously take it. But, you know, I think when you're down to 10 men, then your best chance of coming out of this would be to go to penalties. You know, it'll be a 4-4-1, won't it? I would imagine, you know, Christian Ramirez.
Yes, Sakala into the Aberdeen box, and he's blocked, and it's clear by Ilber Ramadani. Now it's with Kent. Kent coming forward. He's chopping away from Ramadani and Barron and rolling it out to that left-hand touchline for Barisic. Scott right down by the corner flag, booed by the Dons supporters. And was out of play for a throw-in over on the far side off Kennedy. So that's Jim Goodwin's message. Try and potentially get this to extra time, take an opportunity if it comes. But for Michael Beale, he doesn't want a lottery at the end of this. He wants his team to get stuck in and win this in extra time, Neil.
Yeah, he'll want to push the dominance. Just let this play go here.
All right.
Yeah, I think he would want to. His substitutions have been aggressive. He bringing on Scott Wright, of course. It's another winger. Lindstrom going off. And Ryan Kent will be allowed just to still drift about in the game and try and create havoc, but you can't see anything other than Aberdeen just being pinned for this whole extra time.
Kent crosses into the box, awkward bounce for Scales, gets it half away. Tavernier gets it ahead of Hayes, takes a touch right-footed, deflected off the crossbar and over, corner. Another deflection. This time it works in Aberdeen's favour, but it is at the expense of a corner. Rueful look on the face of James Tavernier, and it stays Rangers 1, Aberdeen 1 on 92.
Yeah, he muscles Johnny Hayes. Johnny Hayes gets the timing wrong, and when he cuts in onto the right foot, he's almost trying to reverse it with the instep, I think. Yeah, he is, and it comes off of Liam Scales
again.
Yeah, another cracking block from the big centre-back. He's had a good game today.
It was his deflection, though, wasn't it? It was unfortunate from his point of view, of course, but if that gone in, he really would have had no luck. Corner Rangers, Barisic swings it in. A big group of players in the 6-yard area. Aberdeen get it clear. Dumped away by Ramirez. Ryan Jack will collect it inside his own half, and he goes back to Alan McGregor as Johnny Hayes chased him down. Former teammates in Aberdeen Red, of course. As McGregor finds Jack, and now it's with Kamara. Left of the centre circle, rolls it to the right of it for Goldson. And now the game appears to have descended into Aberdeen trying to keep their defensive lines, and Rangers trying to pick them apart if they can. 3 minutes of extra time played, still 1-1.
You can still push out though as well, you know. I don't think that you want to go back into a penalty box. You want to try to maybe get the 18-yard line as your line.
Yeah, here goes right down the left, he's away from Kennedy, pulls it back, Roof, goal! Kemar Roof, well and truly back now, arms outstretched in front of the Aberdeen supporters. He's had to wait a heck of a long time for that one, as he turns home Scott Wright's pullback. That was all about Wright. The former Aberdeen player burned away from Kennedy, pulls it back for Roof, who has Rangers sitting with 1 foot in the League Cup final. Rangers 2, Aberdeen 1, early in extra time.
Yeah, well, there's a substitution coming to light. You want impact from Scott Wright. He's thrown him out there to be aggressive in the wide area. He knows he's up against Matty Kennedy, who's not a fullback, and he's tired, he's fatigued, he's put a lot into the game, Kennedy. But Wright absolutely roasts him on the outside. And is he good enough to pick out Kemar Roof when he goes near post? Yes, he is. He just rules it into his path. And I tell you, it's a beautiful little finish, Liam, because he's not done anything to try and generate power. It's all about making sure he gets good contact and redirecting it past Roos in the goal. It's a brilliant finish, but really well made from Scott Wright.
No, it is. I mean, it's a great substitution, isn't it? You know, he throws him on, he plays him wide out there on the left, and you know, he just burns past Matty Kennedy. Okay, Matty Kennedy's a long, hard game here, but you know, he's got to defend that a little bit better. And then when it comes in, I think McCrory and Scales have got to defend it better too.
They're checking it, by the way. They're checking something.
I mean, they need to do well to find something in that, I could see, but it's...
Well, they're having a laugh, aren't they?
Game on now, 2-1 Rangers. Kemar Roof's first goal since he scored in the second leg of that Europa League tie against Braga in the quarter-finals last season. He scored in extra time on that occasion as Rangers won 3-1 to move forward to that semi-final against Leipzig, and he is back with a vengeance now. That'll do him the world of good. It does Rangers the world of good as well. Yeah, Colak's got injury problems, Morelos is out of form, Kemar Roof steps onto the stage and scores one of Rangers' potentially most important goals of the season.
Yeah, he was a great player for Rangers during that title-winning season. Mick Beale has said that, he's missed him. And with Morelos misfiring, not performing, it just shows that he's a really accomplished finisher, good player, not big in stature, but really clever about the box, Liam.
Well, it was Colak and Morelos who were making the headlines because of what Anthony Stewart said about them in the press activity ahead of this semi-final. But it's the forgotten man, Roof. Albeit the Rangers fans haven't forgotten how to celebrate one of his goals, have they? As he enjoyed that one. Nick Walsh is coming over here again for some reason, but Rangers 2-1 up, 96 played. Difficult for Aberdeen, really difficult for Aberdeen. He's coming over to have a look at something, Nick Walsh, and now everyone's wondering what the heck's going on, us included. But Ewan Anderson, the fourth official, is over by the monitor as well as they come over to have another discussion. I think it looks like there's an issue with his technology here.
Well, just play the game. Just play the game without it. If it's not working, play the game without it.
You can't though.
Go old school.
Yeah, you can't. There's TV show replays of Kemar Roof's goal, which you would think will set Rangers on course for the final now. It was already difficult for Aberdeen coming into this extra time, a man down, but now they're a goal down as well. And when it was 1-1, albeit Rangers on top, it was still finely balanced, you felt. Let's go down to speak to Jonathan, who's been, I think, burrowing down there trying to find out what on earth is happening. Jonathan.
There's something going on with VAR. I don't know if it's a communication issue with Clydesdale House, Liam. Nick Walsh has been down next to the VAR monitor with the headphones on, trying to obviously speak and communicate with somebody about something. I think there is some sort of technical issue with the monitor here. It's hard to work out. We're not right up against it in terms of being able to speak to these people, but there is some sort of problem with VAR. I'll try and bring you more as I get it.
Cheers, 7.5 into extra time, 2-1 to Rangers. And right now it will be a Celtic Rangers final on the 26th of February. Well, looks like VAR will not be used for the final part of this match. No VAR. That would include any potential penalty shootout. You don't see Aberdeen scoring. You never know, of course. They've barely threatened since they scored their opening goal. Ramirez down that right-hand side has managed to get them up the pitch. He's won them a throw-in over on that far side level with the Rangers 6-yard line. 98 on the clock. There'll be a few minutes added on at the end of the first period of this extra time now.
What I would say is, Liam, I think they probably will get a chance, because I don't think Rangers are that type of dominant team where they'll just go and keep pressing. I think it's natural instinct that they indeed will drop a little bit as well in the latter stages, so they might just present a chance to Aberdeen.
Throw-in comes into the box, headed away by Goldson. One of the biggest cheers of the day as the announcement comes that VAR will not be used for the remainder of the match. There's a communication error with VAR HQ as that's headed clear. Only in Scotland. Johnny Hayes lets fly, and Alan McGregor is managed to make a save with the right foot, the right hand, as he dived to his right to make the save. It's brilliant goalkeeping, really strong wrist from the Rangers number one. That was a fabulous hit there from Johnny Hayes from about 30 yards out. McGregor makes the save. Here's Hayes again. Just about saying Aberdeen would seldom threaten, but here they come again. Left hand side, Hayes doesn't have the best cross in the world on this occasion, and it's headed out by Goldson for a throw in on this near side. Rangers 2, Aberdeen 1 in extra time, but Aberdeen threatening, Willie.
Still life in this game, that's for sure. Johnny Hayes, what a strike that was. It was vicious, wasn't it? Al McGregor had to be his best to get a good strong hand on it. So you know, the game is not over, although it's going to be very difficult for the Dons, obviously. But if you can get yourself into these positions, then they still get players capable of something special.
It's a warning for Rangers, that one, though. They're just waking them up a bit as Roof picks up just outside the centre circle and turns it to Barisic. It goes back to Davis. Final 5 minutes of the regulation 15 in the first period of extra time here at Hampden. Great hit by Johnny Hayes with a left foot there. McGregor equal to it, as he normally is. Sakala out to Tavernier on this near side. Back infield for Connor Goldson. Goldson to Jack, and out to the left for Barisic. To right, to two former Aberdeen players who've had big saves in both goals. Jack scoring one, Wright setting up the other.
Rangers are trying to suck Aberdeen out. Aberdeen are just folded into a really tight formation, almost protecting their 18-yard box, and Rangers are just, they're actually staying quite deep. They're staying out of it and trying to encourage Aberdeen out.
The Rangers fans getting frustrated. Their team are leading, heading into a final against the 10-men Aberdeen. And it's a loose ball which goes out for an Aberdeen throw-in. Scales under pressure from Sakala, fouled by Sakala.
Johnny Hayes is in a wee bit of bother here as well. Did they turn his ankle there? I didn't see.
Well, Miovski wasn't exactly moving freely when he was substituted either. I mentioned they've got that massive game at Tynecastle coming up there. They beat St Johnstone last week, but their league form's been in tailspin since the World Cup break. And they've got 2 trips to Edinburgh in their next 2 league matches. Easter Road to come after the Darvel Cup tie. Neil, and they could do without injury problems. Well,
Johnny loves a hobble.
What to say, right? Okay.
He loves a hobble, and you think, is he going to make it? And invariably he does.
Here's Coulson.
The afterburners will be on shortly. Watch this.
He's giving it away though to Kent. Now it's Tavernier out to Sakala on the near side. Infield to Kent, 2-1 to Rangers. Kent shrugs off Ramadani, he's driving forward. Ryan Kent, options ahead of him and out to the left. He goes to Barisic. Ramadani stayed down. Rangers play on, looking for a tie-clinching goal here. It's Scott Wright bouncing around at the left angle of the box against his former teammate Shinnie. Wright does well, rolls it back to Jack. Wright and Jack exchange passes. Wright finds Goldson. Goldson takes a touch, moves forward, rolls it to Sakala inside the area. Sakala's efforts blocked by Coulson, and it goes out of play for a Rangers throw-in level with the Aberdeen 18-yard line on this near side. Rangers 2, Aberdeen 1, 12 minutes into the first period of extra time. Throw-in's taken by Tavernier. Gets it back from Kamara, and now it comes back to Goldson. Goldson finds Jack, and now it's with Kent. And Kent to Jack. It's at walking pace right now for Rangers. It has been the last few minutes as Roof holds off Barron, and now it's Jack and out to the left-hand side for Barisic. To Ryan Jack again, left of the centre circle. He finds Connor Goldson. Aberdeen can't get out here. As Jack finds Wright, is at the edge of the area. Wright's poked it through. Sakala blocked, and then just wide of the left-hand post with a deflection. And it will be another Rangers corner as they look to finish this tie off. Sakala, broad smile, it's a wry one. He thought he'd scored.
I think he should hit it early. He just hesitated ever so slightly. Scott Wright again, pivotal in it. He took a little stutter, and then he made up his mind that he was going to hit it, and Scales again. I mean, it's a brilliant block.
By the way, VAR has made a miraculous recovery. It's back in action.
Has it made it back, is it? All right.
That was the big cheer in the background, and I was talking, so I didn't quite make out what they were saying. VAR's back. Corner Rangers, though. They came a whistle away from making it 3-1 there. Tavernier's in swinging deliveries, away by Ramirez. Jack will pick it up. Hayes comes to meet him. Jack calmly knocks it out to this near side for Glenn Kamara. Back it comes to Jack. Jack to Kamara again, wide on the right hand side. Kamara finds Sakala. Level with the 6-yard line now. He goes back the way to Kamara, infield to Jack. Forward it comes to Wright. Wright gets it away from Coulson, breaks Kamara's way. It is Kamara against Shinnie. Shinnie trying to stick with him. Shinnie's done well actually, and then Ramadani gets it away. And now it's Johnny Hayes. On this left-hand side as Aberdeen look to hit in the counter. Only Ramirez ahead of him. There's a poor ball by Hayes. He was looking for Barron. He's played it straight to Tavernier. It looked like a tired-looking ball from Johnny Hayes.
Yeah, just wrong decision, Liam. Yeah. Kennedy on the right side, which was the best pass to make. He was facing it. He tried a little reverse passing, but that time Rangers were funneling back.
2-1 to Rangers. We are well into the final minute of the regulation 15 in this first period of extra time. With the VAR technology issues, which will have added a couple of minutes on top, I would have thought, as Jack finds Goldson. And Jack again, it was extra time heroics last time Rangers were here as they ended that long wait for a major domestic cup victory. 4 minutes added on to the top of this first period. It's Kent to Tavernier and out to Sakala. Infield to Kamara, back to Sakala, wide on the right, away from Coulson, gets the early ball in, comes right across to Wright, who takes a touch, rolls it back to Kent at the edge of the box, and it's blocked by Ramadani. Aberdeen still in the tie right now, but they're up against it here, and Rangers trying to find that third goal that would seal it.
Good defending, great ball from Sakala, flashed across the face of Aberdeen's goal. Roof was charging towards the front post to get a touch on it. He didn't, but when it actually get fed back to Kent, I thought it was a poor ball for him, but nonetheless Aberdeen back out to that one to smother that shot as well.
Yeah, they're working extremely hard, aren't they, to make sure that if Rangers are going to score, they're going to have to work, their socks off to do that.
Corner Rangers, challenged by Kennedy. Rangers keeping Aberdeen pinned right back here inside their own box. Jim Goodwin standing at the right angle of his technical area there. Again, arms folded, nothing he can do really. Michael Beale with his hands in his pockets. His team has shown great character again today, as they have done several times since he took the reins. It's Barisic with the corner, into the box. It's headed away by Ramirez. A lot of good defensive work since coming on. He is the main striker now, but he's not seeing anything in front of the Rangers goal. Here's Kent getting it from Jack over on the left-hand side to the touchline for Barisic. Back to Kamara, and he pokes it back to Ben Davis. 2-1 to Rangers. The first period of extra time will be over in about 20 seconds. Kent prodding it back to Jack, and now it's with Kamara on that left-hand side. Down the line for Barisic to Kamara, infield for Jack. And then Jack out to the left-hand side. Sorry, 4 minutes were added on at the end. We've got 2 minutes still to play. The first period is Wright, pulls it back to the 18-yard line. Almost came to Kent. It was actually just behind Kemar Roof, who was left of the penalty spot. And it's now back in the gloves of Kella Roos, and it stays Rangers 2, Aberdeen 1.
He's showing some good pace, isn't he, Scott, right down that left-hand side? Really direct play as well. But I'm surprised with the pace that he's got, because Matty Kennedy's relatively quick as well, but maybe it's an unusual position for him to be playing as a right back.
Kennedy's been running on that quagmire for the best part of 2 hours as well, though. That's the problem, isn't it? Wright is much fresher, free of injury as well. When he was at Aberdeen, he always seemed to pick up little niggles, which prevented him from getting a run in the first team, and as soon as he did, he was lured south to Glasgow into Ibrox like Ryan Jack was before him. And it's Jack on the ball, squaring it to Kamara, with just over a minute of the injury time at the end of this first period of extra time to play, with Rangers leading by 2-1. Here's Sakala looking for Tavernier. His pass goes to Hayes, though. Hayes is pushed to the ground by Tavernier, and that's a free kick to Aberdeen on this near side. They have found themselves in holes since Michael Beale took over. Neil Tom was talking before the game about the match against Hibs at Ibrox, his first one in charge. The game at Pittodrie, they were behind to Celtic in the derby as well. Come back, took points from all of those. They were unfortunate not to pick up all 3 against Celtic. Kyogo scoring late on.
Yeah, I think they've got a bit of character under Michael Beale. They've found some steel, determination in games when they've not been playing at their best. I don't think they've been at their best again today, but I think the decision of Stewart has helped that massively to get themselves into a position where it looks like, barring Aberdeen come back, then they'll see themselves into the cup final with Celtic. But I think he's found something, and it's really important to have in a team, which is that wee bit of determination not to give up when things are not going for you at your best.
Half time and extra time. Kumar Roof with an early extra time salvo to give Rangers the lead, and to within touching distance of the 22-23 Scottish League Cup final. Half time and extra time, Rangers 2, Aberdeen 1.
It is supposed to be an instantaneous turnaround, but of course these days they do tend to let them have a little bit of a breather. I mean, I suppose they played almost 20 minutes actually since everything got up and running, thanks to VAR breaking down and then being resuscitated. The important moment though came in the 4th minute of stoppage time. You're looking at players coming back from injury. Kemar Roof, it's been a huge miss, Tom, for Rangers. Just an instinctive finish from him, and Scott Wright also making an impact coming on as a sub.
Yeah, I mean, you see fresh players. Wright did brilliantly there, real intent down the left-hand side. Put the nice ball into Roof, and Roof slots it away. Roof is a very, very good finisher. He's a better finisher than Morelos. You know, he's only played 3 games this season. His last goal, as Liam was saying, was April last year. That was an extra time winner against Braga. Has he got another extra time winner here? He's had a horrible run of injuries, really, really horrible. But he's a classy player, and he might be the difference, him and Anthony Stewart.
Yeah, well, Anthony Stewart certainly made a huge difference in terms of a negative impact for Aberdeen. Rangers are preparing to introduce Scott Arfield to the fray, but you do wonder what Jim Goodwin can do. Can he get anything more out of his troops? They're going to be weary.
They must be exhausted.
Totally so.
They must be absolutely weary. You know, they've given everything, absolutely emptied themselves. They've been badly let down by their captain, and you know, they've opened the door to Rangers, and Rangers have walked straight through with Wright and Roof do the damage. It's still chaotic. Even, you know, the breathless nature of it, even VAR spontaneously combusted for 4 or 5 minutes. So, yeah, as if we didn't have enough going on. The VAR breaking down. Something we were told wouldn't happen, but there you go. But they've got it back again. Fair play to them.
Well, Arfield is on for the final chunk, what is likely to be the final chunk of this game. He has come on for, I thought it was Sakala who had left the pitch.
Barisic off as well.
Barisic has gone off as well.
That wouldn't have been at all controversial, would it? If there was a controversial goal while VAR was down, that would have, everyone would have taken that on the chin.
It would barely have been mentioned, I feel.
I think everyone would have said, you know, these things happen.
Let's get back.
Because that's Scottish football.
Only Scottish football. Let's get back to Liam.
Yeah, second half of extra time's underway. Kemar Roof with the first touch of it, and his could be the biggest touch of the game. And see put Rangers 2-1 up, and now it's with Goldson who finds Davis, and then out to Adam Devine, one of the subs. He's replaced Barisic. Arfield has come on for Sakala, and Davis goes back to Goldson. As it stands, Rangers certainly don't need Scott Arfield's heroics against Aberdeen this time. Do the Dons have one chance left in them? Or can Rangers score a third that would put it well beyond the reach of the 10 men? Arfield goes back to Goldson under no pressure just now. Just wonder what Jim Goodwin was saying to his players. He had them gathered round there in that half-time interval, because it looks a lost cause for him right now, Neil.
Yeah, but I think you'll be commending them on their effort, work rate. I mean, to stay in this tie, but he'll be asking for one last push. Just give it all you've got, no regrets, and try and get a chance that you can take.
It's now with Hayden Coulson out on the left-hand side, long ball up towards halfway, controlled by Goldson, steps away from Ramirez, and Tavernier away from Hayes, goes back to Ben Davis, and now it's with Jack. Much more content Ranger support now, because they certainly weren't happy at half-time in normal time. They trailed to that Miovski goal, cancelled out by Jack's deflected effort. And then Kemar Roof steering home Scott Wright's pullback to give Rangers the lead early in extra time. Adam Devine, brilliantly done, finds Arfield. Now it's right at the edge of the box, and he fires it just wide of that left-hand post. Really good effort. I'm not convinced Kellaroos is leaving that because it's going wide. I think it's a nervy little look over the shoulder there from the Aberdeen keeper.
Yeah, I mean, it's not far away, is it? I don't think he's getting it if it's maybe a foot inside, where eventually it ended up. I don't know if Devine actually meant that little flick over the top.
It was like the wee Bergkamp flick, wasn't it? The roll around the defender. I don't think he intended that.
Give him a break.
Okay.
It's a good little flick from Adam Devine. He could actually think himself unlucky actually to lose his place to Borna Barisic. I thought he did pretty well.
We're just watching it again. Nah, he didn't mean it. He just tries to roll it inside.
I bet he claims that he made it.
Yeah.
He meant it. It's Ramirez with an up and under. Hayes giving chase.
But a decent strike from Scott Wright again. Looking like the player out there.
Tavernier clears with the volley. There's Ramadani and Coulson. And his jersey pulled by Kent. That's a free kick. And Kent lucky not to get booked for that because he was fouling Coulson before he fouled him. The one that was given.
Yeah, pulled him back. He had a big handful of his shirt. I think you're right, Liam. He maybe gets a little touch on the ball beforehand, but it's the tug on the jersey secondary.
At least
it might have brought a yellow card, yeah.
3 minutes into the second period of extra time. It's an Aberdeen free kick. Now they can put this into the Rangers box. It's about their best opportunities, you would have thought. Hayes pumps it in. Scales tries to get there. Rangers get it away and behind for a corner. The Aberdeen supporters are claiming for handball, and a couple of the players are as well.
You're going to get that a lot, I feel, in the remainder of this game, with balls getting smashed into the box. We're probably big up and unders. Just hoping it's going to come off a hand and hope that VAR does its magic.
They did make a fist of it against St Mirren. Aberdeen, they were 2-1 down on that occasion as well, down to 10. Eventually lost a third goal as they pushed for an equaliser. Hayes takes the corners easy, you would think, for McGregor. He manages to punch it away. Wright gets his head to it ahead of Kennedy, and now it's with Coulson who chips it back towards the Rangers box, headed away by Ben Davis. Now it's with Graham Shinney for Aberdeen. Rolls it to Ramirez, first time to Scales, just outside the Rangers penalty area. 19 on the clock in extra time. 2-1 to Rangers. Ramadani forward. Poor ball though, gives it straight to Kamara, and then there's a foul by Ramadani over on the far side on Roof, and that's a free kick to Rangers, and it's 2-1 to Rangers with about 11 minutes to play.
Well, they're still getting themselves into dangerous positions, Aberdeen, so I think you've got to give them a lot of credit for how they played in this tie. They might not come out at the end of it on top, but they certainly haven't given in, even going down to the 10 men. They've certainly put a lot into it. There's been a fair bit of intent in the second half of extra time. You can see Conor Barron and Johnny Hayes, they're prepared to get themselves a little bit further forward to try and put pressure on the Rangers side. So I think Jim Goodwin have sent them out with a positive attitude.
No, absolutely. They've dogged side to them, but their captains let them down big style. Here comes Kent for Rangers though, and then I think the mud tackled him there, made them look a little bit silly. Rangers fans frustrated. Here's Shinney for Aberdeen, and he spins away from his man. He's going to be such an important signing for Jim Goodwin. Really has been what Aberdeen have been missing in the engine room this season. Here's Kennedy down the right hand side against Devine. Moves back in field, left-footed ball, high into the sky it goes, and Shinney gets a touch onto it. Barron does as well, but it's lashed away by Rangers. Here come Aberdeen again. Coulson forward to Shinney, the edge of the box, goes down. I think Tavernier got some of the ball there.
He had to get some of the ball.
He's got something, I'm sure he has. The Aberdeen fans claiming penalty, right on the line it was. Long ball forward, blocked in the 18 by Davis, and Arfield slips it out to Kamara, who goes long, looking for Roof. Roof could be in here. McCrory gets back at him. McCrory's got pace, but Roof's away from McCrory, away from Scales. He goes down, no free kick, and Aberdeen clear.
Good strength from Scales. Tried a little shuffle inside Roof, and Scales just brushed him off. He's holding his shoulder, Roof. He's down. Holding his shoulder. Yeah, got a shot on our monitor here that he's holding that.
Hayes on the left-hand side, cross balls cleared by Goldson. Now it's with Tavernier, and he rolls it to Jack. 2-1 to Rangers. Less than 9 minutes left of extra time. Roof still down. Kemar Roof is still down, and Rangers have already brought on Kamara, Wright, Roof, Arfield and Devine, so they've made the 5 changes.
He's not moving, is he? I mean, that's a concern, that he's not budged. Generally when players go down and they don't move or roll around, it's a sore one. He's sort of brushed off by Scales, and he falls onto that shoulder. just watching the rerun
Yeah,
here, but this is a challenge from Tavernier. It was absolutely on the money, wasn't it?
Yep.
Well, he's had so many injury problems, Kemar Roof, as we've already been discussing over the last year, and he is the man who currently will be the match winner in this one. He's mainly knee problems over the last 12 months, but this is obviously an issue for Kemar Roof, and it's an issue for Michael Beale. 2-1 to Rangers with less than 8 to play.
He looks kind of sick as well, doesn't he? You know, sometimes you get a real dull one, feeling a little bit nauseous, but he's fallen straight onto that shoulder. First of all, clear up, it wasn't a foul.
No.
But it's the landing that's done the damage, it seems.
Yeah. You don't know, that kind of injury, it could be a dislocation. He's holding it, you know, and he's getting intense scrutiny on it there as well. They're walking him round here. It doesn't look as though he's going to take part in it.
I mean, if it's hanging on his shoulder, I don't know why the physio just doesn't pull the button of his jersey, pull it up to create a sling. He's holding it himself.
Well, the game gets back underway. It's 10 against 10 as Alan McGregor turns it out to Ben Davis. 2-1 to Rangers. 23 minutes of extra time have been played. Davis to Devine and now to Jack. Right now, the numerical advantage is gone for Rangers. Marley Watkins is waiting to come on for Aberdeen. At least he will shortly, as Jim Goodwin tries to find this equaliser that could take it to penalties.
Well, this is when Aberdeen, I think, need to have a push. Rangers don't have a striker on the pitch right now. They need to have an aggressive push. Numerical numbers are the same, as you said.
Well, they're going to have to make that. Well, they get that extra substitution in extra time. So, because it's gone to extra time, they can make a 6th change, and that's what they're going to have to do. Right now it's 10 against 10, but here goes Wright for Rangers, driving at the Aberdeen defence, up to the edge of the box, Tavernier to his right. Eventually he's outnumbered, and it comes back here to Roos. Charlie McCann's coming on for Rangers for the final 6 minutes, plus anything added on. Kennedy with the long ball. Rangers 6 minutes plus injury time away from the League Cup final. It's Glenn Kamara for Rangers, right of the centre circle, flicking it back to Tavernier. And then Jack was the target, but he ended up going to Goldson. He was under pressure from Ramirez. Rangers continue with the ball though. They got away with that. Here's Arfield for Kent. He goes back to Davis. Davis then squares it to Goldson. Rangers 2, Aberdeen 1. Still it's 10 against 10 right now. Aberdeen can't get the ball.
Taking quite some time to make that change though, are they not?
He's coming now. Charlie McCann's down there, number 29, as Kent collects and rolls it to his right for Kamara.
I don't understand the gamesmanship here of Rangers. Just kick the ball out, get your numerical advantage back again. I know they're not doing anything other than just pushing it around the pitch, but just get your numbers up.
Well, they're wasting all the seconds, aren't they?
Yeah.
But Charlie McCann down there, he's a Northern Irish under-21 international, though he's born in Coventry. He's got his hands on his hips, waiting patiently down there. The clock continues to tick away on Aberdeen. Rangers in possession with Wright, rolls it to the right of the centre circle for Kent, who turns it out to his skipper Tavernier on the right hand side. It's an early first time ball into the box. Arfield's got time to take it down, gets met there by Barron and eventually comes through to Belarus, and it stays with 26 extra time minutes on the clock. Rangers 2, Aberdeen 1.
Yeah, just needed to get that a little bit away from his body there. I thought he took it down well enough, Arfield, but then I don't know what was in his mind, what he was trying to do. Just try to maybe toe poke it. I thought, get it onto your right foot and have a strike.
Long from the big Aberdeen goalkeeper, headed away there by Ben Davis. Ramadani's pass for Shinnie goes straight to Kamara though. Here's Kent to Kamara. Kamara then rolls it back to Tavernier, and now it's with Jack. Jack then flicks it back to Tavernier, and now it's with Goldson.
There's a few of those players out there running on fumes. The tanks are empty.
They've got to go again pretty quickly at Tynecastle on Wednesday. McCrory bullies Wright off the ball, and then Wright catches McCrory. They were both involved in the deal that took Ross McCrory to Pittodrie on a full-time basis, as Roof His injury problems come back, and he's replaced by Charlie McCann, and Rangers are back to 11. So 11 plays 10 again. And still Marley Watkins waits. He's going to come on now for Shinnie. And those two, of course, were in the Cali Thistle team that won the Scottish Cup in 2015. Indeed, Marley Watkins was the big hero. He was the main reason that Graham Shinnie got to lift the Scottish Cup that season with his late winner against Falkirk in that final here. And he's attacking the goal he scored it in as well. Memorable time for Watkins and Shinnie off. And now Kennedy takes the free kick. It's inside his own half. Long ball forward, headed away by Davis. There's only about 2.5 of the regulation time left, and Rangers are picking Aberdeen off in the counter. McCann's forced it through to Kent, but he can't get there. Coulson closes it down. Gets it back to his keeper, and Roos fires it forward across halfway. It's not done yet, this game. Marley Watkins for Aberdeen on the far side. Good footwork from him. Barron's pass is poor, goes straight off Kamara though as he wins it back, strong against Kent. Barron then shows too much of it to Arfield, undid his good work in winning it back after his initial mistake, but it goes out off a Rangers player and out for a throw into Aberdeen on the north stand side.
It's good attitude though, isn't it? You know, you certainly need that at this stage of the tie. You know, a youngster coming on, showing that energy, showing that maybe disrespect for the old experienced player.
Scales with a long ball, headed away by Davis, had to get the header because Ramirez was in behind him. It's now on this near side with Devine, who clears, and Scales gets there on the halfway, gets it away into the Rangers half. It's going to be brought back, I think, for a free kick here and a yellow card for Charlie McCann, who's just on. And Aberdeen have a free kick on the halfway line. 90 seconds left of extra time, plus anything Nick Walshad's on at the end. Aberdeen's need is an urgent one. Their League Cup hopes are on life support here at the National Stadium. Matty Kennedy over this free kick. He set up Bojan Mijovski with the opening goal in the first half. It was a half-time lead Aberdeen had. Jack's deflected goal and Roof's extra time strike as Scales comes forward from the long free kick, saved by McGregor at his near post. It was floated into Liam Scales, and the on loan Celt battered it at goal, and McGregor makes the save to potentially prevent this match going to penalties.
Yeah, it's a brilliant volley, isn't it? You know, with the left foot coming out there, and Scales got to get his head over it, got to get it in target. Does everything right. I mean, it's a great effort from the centre back. Good goalkeeping in the right space at the right time.
From Aberdeen down the left with Conor Barron getting it from Scales, chance to cross, does get the cross ball in, headed away by Devine. Aberdeen threatening right in the last knock-ins here. McCrory up against Arfield, finds Hayes, goes back to Kennedy. Can the Dons fashion one last opportunity? Kennedy with the pass forward, McCrory can't get there, Rangers clear, and now they're away in the counter again. Kent's ahead of McCann. McCann taking it on his own at the moment though, and he has it nicked off him by Ramadani. It's good play by Ramadani. If Aberdeen force penalties, that could be a huge moment, but we're into the closing few seconds of extra time here. 3 minutes added on at the end. 3 minutes. 2-1 to Rangers against the 10 men. Long ball towards Ramirez, holds off his man, turns and shoots, and it's wide and it stays. Rangers 2, 10-man Aberdeen 1.
Yeah, just lost his footing. Ramirez took a nice touch actually. Controlled it, he's backing into young Devine, but when he turns onto his left foot, I think he maybe just slips
as well.
Yeah, he does, he loses his footing on this terrible surface. Alan McGregor, a little bit of gamesmanship here, 2 balls on the pitch. He'll not be in any hurry to do anything with this, but when you're looking at opportunities to go and kill the game, I think twice Charlie McCann's been in good possession and good areas of the field with Kent going through it, and he's just not done very well at all with them.
The Rangers fans sense victory, and it's just over 2 minutes away. Throw in Aberdeen. The Dons are certainly making a fist of it.
Big Scales is just meandering forward now. This will be launched, you would feel.
Roos, long ball forward. The Rangers defence just is to stand firm for 2 more minutes. Headed clear by Davis. Ramadani's header goes straight to Kamara. Kamara gets himself away from Ramadani, brought down by Ramadani, and he's going to be yellow carded, and that's a free kick to Rangers. And Michael Beale is almost there. He was praising Giovanni van Bronckhorst, his predecessor, for getting Rangers to the semi-final, but he has had to overcome a tough challenge to take Rangers into this season's final, should they see out the final 90 seconds or so. 2-1 they lead in a game they trailed in. Not the first time they've trailed under their new manager and turned it round in their favour. for Aberdeen, it's going to be a very quick turnaround. Huge league match to come against Hearts on Wednesday. And if Hearts win that, Hearts go 9 points clear of Aberdeen in that race for third. That's how important the game on Wednesday is. And yet Aberdeen are going to have to make changes, you would think, because they're dead on their feet out there. As Goldson takes the free kick into the final minute of injury time, and it's out with Kent on that right-hand side for Rangers as he rolls it back the way to McCann. Down the right-hand touchline for Kamara. Rangers seeing the game out, or at least trying to, inside Aberdeen territory. And then it's back with Tavernier, and he goes back to Goldson. Goldson on that right chips it down the touchline, but that's going to fall to Johnny Hayes. Aberdeen might get an opportunity to blast the ball forward here with Killaroos. Last chance saloon for the Dons. Roos has it, right-footed, gets it across the halfway lines, too high for Watkins. Davis gets the header, one back by Kennedy against Devine. Now it's picked up by Watkins, back into his own half for Ramadani. The seconds ticking down. McCrory, that's a tired looking touch forward there to Hayes, and Aberdeen lose it. But in the final 10 seconds, Rangers less than 10 seconds away from the final now. Yet another final for them, having been here for the Scottish Cup final. Rangers giving it away. It's now Ramadani. I make that time up, but it's come through for Watkins. He's giving chase. Right-hand side of the box. This needs to be on point. In comes the cross. Ramirez clips. Chance for Coulson. Saved by McGregor, who holds on. Flags up anyway. Wouldn't have counted. And it is all over here at the National Stadium. Rangers go through. Aberdeen lose the semi as Michael Beale and Jim Goodwin shake hands down below us. They needed extra time, as they did in the Scottish Cup final last season. But Rangers get over the line. They fell behind to Bojan Mijovski's goal towards the end of the first half as he turned home Matty Kennedy's cross. But it was two Aberdonians, two former Aberdeen players who are the thorn in their side. Ryan Jack with his deflected equalising goal in the second half of normal time, before right at the start of extra time, Scott Wright made Rangers second as he drove down the left-hand side, burned away from his marker, fired it across for Kemar Roof, who scored his first goal in 9 months. And it is Kemar Roof who's the hero. He had to go off with a shoulder injury later in extra time, but it's Roof's day as he ends those months of injury pain to take Rangers through to the League Cup final. They've won this competition more than anyone, 27 times, though not since 2011 when they were under Walter Smith, as they get through to their 36th League Cup final. They've only lost 8 of the 35 they've contested, though they did lose that one to Celtic in 2019 in controversial fashion with that Christopher Julian goal, which looked marginally offside. But it's Rangers and their supporters who celebrate tonight, because it is they who will return here on Sunday the 26th of February, where the Scottish League Cup final for 22-23 will be contested by Celtic and Rangers. It finished here after extra time with Anthony Stewart's red card not exactly helping Aberdeen. Rangers 2, 10-man Aberdeen 1.
The Scottish League Cup.
Live on Sports Sound from BBC